going to school because their brother has to wear the shoes the next day because they only have one pair of shoes. And then they come to school and they're angry and they're mad because not because of their at school, it's because of what's going on in the home. And we don't take time to get to know these kids and see and understand them and what they're going through, so they're actually just being misunderstood because we don't know what they ate last night. We don't know if they got to breakfast that morning. We don't know if they got a bed to sleep in. And some of these kids are going through things and then they don't want to say anything because now if they say anything, now they get laughed at or now people are going to talk about them. And they're scared and they're just don't want to be embarrassed. And so now they're being something that they're not. Now they got to do a lot of other things to fit in with the crowd so people don't know what they're going through. But people like myself and others and Key that work with the youth, like she mentioned, with a heart. You have to have a heart for this. And so I'm real passionate about when it comes to these youth. So I just know that they're just misunderstood and we don't know what they're going through. So we have to take time to really sit down and talk with them and build that relationship where they can trust the adult to open up to them.
Perfect example, there was a preschool that's right next door to me, and one of the teachers was complaining, this kid, like an animal, they just run out the door and just you can't control them. What they didn't understand, there was no structure at all. So usually in the morning, the mom was saying, get out the door, go play, and they don't come back home until the mom lets them in. So where they looked at it as a kid being out of control, he was just doing what he was taught. You know what I want to tell you all, we're talking about youth, but every one of us were youth at one time. And the things that we're talking about, we may be saying youth, but there are things that we're going through right now. Some of us may be struggling with bills and maybe not be able to, groceries are high, y'all. You know what I'm saying? You don't know. So when you're going through, like when people are talking right now, apply it to yourself, right? Find something that applies to you, whether it's what to do or what not to do. Can we do that? One person, please briefly tell me, how do you replace fear with faith? Who wants to answer that? How do you replace fear with faith?
For me, it's get in a personal, individual relationship with God and know that He's got your back. And then stand on that and move forward.
Yeah.
Well, just to piggyback on what she said, it's just, having that communication with God on a daily. Just like, what shall we fear when you know that God is inside you and that you know that He's walking with you? The only way that you're going to really have that fear is because you know that you haven't been spending too much time with God. So that's all I'm saying.
How do you have fear? How do you have fear to motivate you? How does fear motivate you?
I think for me, fear has to be put into perspective. And fear, and to its right, what makes fear so damaging is the fact that it's an intangible thought. And our minds don't deal well with intangibility. So to be able to convert that intangible thought into some tangible thoughts takes the conscious mind, the subconscious mind won't take you there. And so the ability to turn it into a conscious thought and then really look at it for what it is and what it isn't, and then also take into consideration that when you ask yourself the question is that most of the times fear is, some people call it, future tripping on something that may or may not happen. If you're a believer, it's a matter of our concern is do we have the faith that God is going to get it right. The reality is that if you have your faith, we know God is going to get it right. And as a result, it's now up to me to take that and use that and the power that He's given me in order to get beyond it in a very conscious way.
I'm gonna bring my little special blend here. So I'm gonna bring science and psychology here for you a little bit. So fear, oftentimes what we're trying to do, especially in a situation like this, we're trying to get those switches in our head, right? And so there's two big ones that we can all remember. There's the carrot and the stick. You all kind of know this analogy, right? Put the carrot out in front of you, the stick behind you. So the things that you are attracted to, you want to put them out in front of you. And the things that you want to run from, you want to put behind you. Now, fear is a very interesting mechanic because it's an emotion, right? And maybe you may not know what your emotions. Does anybody know what your emotions are for? Let me ask that question. Does anybody know why you have emotions? What are your emotions for?
Protection.
Oh, we're getting their expression. Okay, we're getting there. So I'll tell you what, psychologically, your emotions are there to change your state of mind. Have you ever been in a situation you got mad at something and just tore up the house? Right. When you get angry. Have you ever been sad about something and you just can't forget remembering and thinking about it again and again? Right? Have you ever been so elated for something that all you wanted to do was spend all your time and energy in pursuing it, right? So your emotions are intended to put you into a new state of mind. I don't want to get real deep into it, but we've only got so much broad bandwidth in our brain and body bandwidth that we can go back and forth in the real world and false decisions that we make. So we shortcut all this stuff. So your emotions are one way to put you into a mindset that makes you want to think a particular way. So if we're fearful, that gives us a whole set of emotions that we have at our command, or a set of sub-emotions that we have at our command that will make us act in a certain way. And so fear heightens our alertness. It makes us pay attention. Now, fear does something really cool for us. It throws a bunch of chemicals into our brain that gives us something that we all can think of as tunnel vision. Anybody ever had tunnel vision before? Feel like time slowed down? Now, what normally happens is your brain is connected to all this information all around the world every day as it's coming in at you. Okay, when fear kicks in, you get this chemical that starts filling your brain, and it makes all your focus come into the forefront. And instead of paying attention to what the wind's doing, or what somebody way far behind you is doing, or what somebody did 2 days ago is doing, you're paying attention to everything right here and now. And it feels like it's in slow motion because you're not used to seeing so much specific, focused, directed information coming into you. And it's intentional. Fear makes you pay attention so you can get all the new information from the new situation you're in and make a decision to go forward. The mistake so many people find out with fear is they get stuck in fear and you stay there. Fear is temporary. It's momentary. It's supposed to make you pay attention and live through that immediate danger that you're going to get through. And once the danger is over, fear is no longer your ally. It's your enemy. You got to let go of that fear. The fear was just for that moment so that you could see what was happening. Once you know what to do, once you make a decision, you have to take a different mindset to find success. Has anybody found their way, get where they want to be fearful? No. So use fear like it's supposed to. Pay attention when it tells you to pay attention. And then find the mindset, find the emotion that makes you move forward. Fear's your ally. Use it right.
One really great thing to piggyback on that is I've learned something about myself and how I respond to fear. Fear usually means one of two things for me. That I either need to heal something inside of me from either something I'm dealing with right now or the past, or it means I'm on to something big, I need to do something big, and I need to take action on something that is terrifying for me. So fear is motivation to either heal something or do something.
So why you have the mind? There it is. What is one thing you feel fear has sabotaged, and now that you know it worked for you? Now that you know it worked for you. So what is one thing that you feel that fear has sabotaged for you?
Fear has sabotaged me knowing that I can do it, being what I'm going for, how I want to help people. And I've always been terrified because I've got 2 small kids, and it terrifies me that I could fail them. So me having to deal with that fear and say, I'm going to trust God to do what he's going to do, and that he's not going to let me fail my kids, because I hope I wouldn't ever have to. I hope he wouldn't make me, but would I give up what I feel I'm supposed to do to keep them safe, to make them successful? Absolutely.
Anybody else? What's one thing you feel fear has sabotaged, but now you know it worked for your good?
Well, like I said before, I grew up without my dad, and I know when I was gonna have kids someday, I was always fearful that I was gonna do what my dad did and not be there for my kids. But when I first had my first son, I can remember back when I was 20, before I even had any kids, I asked God, I said, God, if you ever allow me to have kids, then I promise you that I would be in your life and I would stay there all the way through it. And so I had my first son at 28. And the fear was that I was going to run out like my dad did or not be there like my dad was. But 9 kids later, I've been in every last one of my kids' lives. So I believe fear is just, to me, fear is like, it's a spiritual battle. It's not a fleshly thing to me. It's a spiritual battle and warfare that's going on. So fear is actually trying to stop me from doing what God purposed for me to do. So once I understood that, and I said, well, if it's a spiritual warfare, and I'm with God, and God's in me, and I abide in Him, and He abides in me, then fear has no place in me or with me.
I think fear for me has sabotaged in the past, and looking back, has sabotaged the concept of relationship. And that really kind of started when I was about 11 years old, and I sat down on the couch by my mom, and 2 little brothers were playing with their trucks, were running around, and I'm sitting there as being the sole recipient of the message that they're getting a divorce. Now, the divorce word wasn't used. This dad's moving out of the house, and he's moving someplace else. And to me, what that was, and it took me a while to identify that, but what that was is I was being left. And it was like, why was I being left? I thought, up to this point, being the firstborn child, firstborn grandchild, and I was walking on water, I had the red carpet everywhere I went. And now he's leaving. I'm like, what is the deal with that? And so my ability to let myself truly 100% relate to other people, or let myself completely be connected, I was very protective because I didn't trust anybody to be there for me. Okay, now I've given you this information and you just bolt. Sorry, not going to happen. So I had to go through that process of figuring that out for myself. And it's also one of the things that has really driven me to do what I am doing now, and that is basically strategy coaching. And it's not just for business, but it's also for life. The fact that relationships are what make things happen and where things happen. So the ability to execute those and be involved in those to the extent that you can, and to the best that you can, is what's going to bring you your success.
You guys got the best questions. So, man, this is hard to kind of narrow it down here, but I'm gonna try. So fear. Fear for me sometimes is, like I would say, it's something that keeps me alive and has kept me alive a couple times. I know it's done great things for me in my business, but the one thing that I'll say throughout my life when it comes to fear is the fear that I did carry with me was when I didn't want to disappoint my dad. That was something that really defined a whole lot of things. My dad was somebody who was really well respected within the community, really well respected within the family. In fact, his word was gospel. And so that didn't give a kid like me much room to move. And oh well, I'm not going to go there too much right now. So the fear of not disappointing my dad really pushed me. And I don't want to get too deep into it, but it made me not live the life that I wanted. It made me live the life that other people wanted for me for a long time. And I'm not the dude that I am now. Back then, I was super nerd. I was reclusive, and I didn't want to talk to people because I thought I didn't understand people. But I just didn't understand that one relationship with my father. And so that fear of disappointing him pushed me into it was a forced recluse, right? I'm a very extroverted person, but I was forced to be an introverted person due to the structure that I lived in. And that fear of not disappointing my father really drove who I was. But had I not had that, I wouldn't have gone through the trials and tribulations that I did and looked for my own self-discovery and had to dug so deep as I did to know what I do know and then try to share that with you. So having faced that fear of people, of not understanding people was my fear. And I went out at it with, just tenacity. I decided that I wasn't going to be afraid of people and that I'm good at everything else. Why in the heck can't I be good at this? So I really dug into communication and how we talk to each other. And part of that conversation, not only how we talk to each other, it's how you talk to yourself. And fear that I had about communicating with other people really led to my fundamental breakthrough where I learned to communicate to myself. So I got to thank you for that.
We're going to wrap up. Now I want you all to think of a one-liner that you want to lead to the crowd. Okay? And while you're thinking about that, I'm going to tell you what my biggest fear was. So I am number 11 of 12 children. My dad worked and my mom took care of us. And when you're number 11 back in the day, you were kind of to be seen and not what? Heard. Exactly. And when you're at the bottom of the totem pole, you're really not supposed to be a lot less. And so, my biggest fear was that, or that I would be. So therefore, I reached out of the room, I just wanted to fit in. Just anything to fit in. I just wanted to say to my parents, because they did it. But my biggest fear was, that the thing that I was most afraid of was my biggest fear, is that I don't have to, perform and do whatever I want. Walk in my own destiny and be loved, right? Come on, y'all let me. Come on. While you're thinking of their one-liners, I need 4 people just to come up here and give us very quick. 4 people give the takeaway. They spill their heart out to you. They talk about how good your children. We love you. One takeaway, take a moment. Hey guys, my with a one-liner, because we're almost out of time. We'll start at this one-liner.
All right, give it up, give it up, give it up for our panel. Was that exciting? Was that great? Man, I hope y'all had their pens and pads out because they were dropping. That's it. Man. So I love that acting here. I love that. So as speakers, we are always what we hear. What Yes, you got love and intentional. Right? Jay did it. Woo! Give it up! 1, of love in the room. I felt it yesterday, I feel it today, but you know what? I feel the love in this room. The J love. Where is the love?
Here at AYPN, we say that everything starts. AYPN activation is where it is. Love is where it is. So I'm gonna say, it starts with being active. So are you active?
Oh, I'm activated because at AYPN, I know that it all starts within, and I'm ready.
Tell you, how activated are you? As activated as the sun is to the moon, activated as a smile is to the moon. See, activation was standing in this room and feeling consumed, feeling like there's nothing that we can't do. How activated are you? As activated as night is the day, as activated as watching this play, activation of voice is knowing that in every single way, the power that resides within us holds our life.
Oh, please,
How
Lord.
activated are you? Say it with me. I'm activated and I'm true.
I'm activated and I'm true.
I'm activated because I know that the power that resides within me also. I'm activated. See, after sitting, the lies, the fears, and the cries, the waves of emotion and the whys, you stand here with a watchful eye of blessed to be able to realize that and why you did.
Yeah.
Are you ready to break out? You're feeling like you won now. Become the best you without a shadow of doubt. So we can still stand here and we shout. No longer will we allow fear, hate, doubt in our lives. Stay feeling stagnation. Wearing our own crown. Sheriffs of our own town. Greatest weapon we own is our ability to turn around upside down. Our ability to turn our life all the way around. We have the ability, without opening our mouth, or making a sound, we can pierce through the clouds, taking away from us. Enter our lives, tell us and let us know what it's ours to do right now. What doors are ready for us to stand through loud and proud, but that wild with you. Tell me, how activated are you? Say it with me loud and proud. I'm activated with the spirit of wild.
Activated with the spirit of wow.
I'm activated and I just don't know how. Activated, I just don't know how. See, when I feel this energy inside of me, it's ready to burn out, ready to soak out, it's ready to let everybody know what it's all about. See, there's a reason for these seasons where you feel like life may leave you behind. These are the times to sit down and rewind. Mind that time. Mind, that's mind. Mind. Worries that form your story. You ain't know all like yours. You ain't like hers. Yeah. Let your spirit stand strong, no rush, no hurt. See, the spirit guiding. All of our It is life. It's tell me like power of it. Activators, 9. Ever will we allow fear, hate, and doubt to feed in our lives. Don't ask what seeds are you planting. Are you allowing to be planted in your mind, heart, eyes, life? See, when you plant a seed, there are, oh my God. So, see, when you plant a seed, you plant it in the ground. Understand that we pierce through the shell. And from that pierce, that tended to unknown dark space. And as it grows, it's literally growing with the weight of the world. Rise into bud, rise into bud, rise into grind, rise into talent. When it pierces our foundation, it allows us how far it goes up, how far it goes down. As it grows, roots digs deeper to the soil, to unknown parts. But when we see ourselves, everybody, the warrior has been activated for a time. This dispensation of time is time for God's glory to rise. To hear the clarion call of the Father, and it is our time. My job is to launch you into your God-given identity, to help you see your God-breathed purpose and destiny. It is the time. It is the hour. It is time for us to hear the clarion call of the Father. Gifts that have been lying dormant inside of us, time for them to come to the forefront, the warriors will rise. But as the warrior has to arise, I was the warrior that was not them. Oh, the things of life that all of you have gone through.
How activated are you? I'm gonna let you know how activated I am today. Today, I no longer use my story as a testimony. Today, I own my story. Today, I know my story is my power. Today, I know my story is my path to purpose, unapologetically. I am proud to share my story. I am proud of what I go through. I am proud and I celebrate it every day because I am activated. And I invite all of you to get activated with me. Activators, disperse. We've got a lot of activators in the house. And when you're activated, what that means is when you show up in your truth, and you no longer carry that fear and those unserving attachments in your life, and you can release them and be activated, you unintentionally are going to make space for someone else to do the same. You don't have to do anything special. You don't have to go out and stay in the world to be a healer. You just got to make a commitment. We're going to go around, we're going to get some activators testimonies, some quick 30-second testimonies, and I hope that that inspires somebody who is not yet activated to get up with their shares, some of their story today. So activators disperse. Hi. All right, let's everybody, activators, come up. You want to be on the camera. Everyone wants to see who the activators are and hear your testimony. Let's go change the world, guys. We're already doing it. Just by showing up in our truth, unapologetically. Don't ever be sorry for who you weren't. I tell you, stand up, put your head up high, own your story. And if people get offended, that is their problem. It is not. I feeling in who I was, using power, as well as being helpful, sharing my vulnerability, thinking none of you all are alone, and open, scared, fearful. Yes, thank you, Lauren.
Yeah. I remember just real quick, I remember when I was growing up, there was, my mother used to always say 120 power activate. So we're starting that activation, Topeka chapter, Topeka with the youth now, because they are our next leaders.
When you activate yourself, you activate the collective in which you are. That's my name is Aaron Hayes.
You see that I am happy, all I have full of power.
Hey everyone, I'm really Dawn. Thank you. It's love. So fun.
And we want to get a quick testimony. We don't have a lot of time left, but is there someone in the audience who is being called to be activated today to stand up and share something that's spiritually nudging you to share? Because you know that you can help somebody else. Know this is really don't be careful. We talk about fear. So let's step up and let's share some truth. And if we don't get people volunteering, we'll all smoke. Others here, so there you go. Oh, we got somebody who wants to speak. You guys just got to take your own.
Somebody over here, you know, at Kerman Road.
You gotta remind yourself, guys, that some teachers like have to remind you that you are okay. So make it practice to tell yourself it's okay. So we're activating.
Right now, we're activating your power now. AYPN, all starts within. All starts within.
Thank you, everybody.
That's right, AYPN.
Please reach out to us.
AYPN. Izzy, come on back, come on. Give it up for James Love and Isabel Black and the entire AYPN community. Listen, we said last night, we don't compete, we collaborate. This was already, this tree, this seed was already planted. And one of the part of the greater family that we call BTBY. This is what can happen when you decide to collaborate and share and separate. So we thank you guys, all of you guys. Oh, yeah, give it up for us. Man.
I am a child of God, with the authority to bear the crown. I am royalty. I am the queen of my kingdom.
Give it up for him, give it up.
A little bit. Very important.
Give it up for them.
It has been an honor to serve with everyone that you're right on stage right now. Corey has now, and he is they talk to them and watch those that were come up right. I don't want to because I want to make sure that they have support. You have to right or are you to show up here? Willing to show up,
All right, give it up for him one more time.
Regina. I'm not talking about a mortgage. I'm talking about a you don't want to. How much that is it? Several people before we do that, Rick, just stand up, everybody get mine. He's gonna be in room A when we get there. 7. He's gonna do his breakout, and we heard him a little bit last night, and talk about the millionaire next door. Everybody can see. We'll go over the rooms they're gonna be in. And then Big Bob, right here, he's gonna be in the wedding room. So with that, we're gonna bring up Rick Kessler.
All right, give him a good round of applause. And Rick comes with us.
We need to take notes.
All right, good morning, everybody. Are you guys having a great event so far? Awesome, man. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Brenda, for having me. I'm going to do my teachers, who actually I got a teacher from here, he was Larry. He's passing out the handout and review. Are here with me as well. I'm going to be speaking to you for the next 55 minutes. And I don't know how to come on and speak up here after hard act to follow. So the topic that I'm going to go over with you will be different from what you've heard, but it's all about the mindset. It's about the mindset of money. That's what I'm going to talk to you about is money, how to build wealth, how to keep wealth, how to keep wealth through your own debts and expenses that you already have. All with just adding one simple step in your financial life. So I want you to keep an open mind as I go through this information that I'm going to share with you, because it is outside of the box thinking. It's not what you've been taught about money. It's not what your parents taught you. It's not what your grandparents taught you, your friends, your colleagues, your coworkers. So I want you to keep an open mind as I go through this. Anyway, Brian, I'm up here clicking. I want to make sure the clicker's working. There we go. No, one more back. Okay, that's going to be the biggest challenge I'm going to have with that day, being able to use technology. If I can get that one. So who am I? I'm actually Brent Kessler. My company is Money Multiplier. I'm located in Fort Wayne, Florida, about an hour from Orlando. As Brenda said, I used to be a chiropractor here in the Kansas City area. I had 5 clinics in the Kansas City area. I had 2 in Oak Park. I had 1 in Olathe, 1 in Tonganoxie, and the original one I started was down in Ottawa, Kansas. I have not practiced in chiropractic since 2008. I sold my last clinic in 2017. Between the time of 28 of 2008 2017, I actually had other docs in my clinic practice. So the concept that I'm going to share with you today, I actually was in a chiropractic conference back in 2006, and I heard this information, and I was like, man, that sounds really, really good, but it sounds too good to be true. You guys ever heard something like that, right? Where it sounds good, but it just seems too good to be true. Well, that was me back in 2006. So I heard somebody speak on this concept, and I'm like, man, it sounds good, but I don't know about it. So I just ignored everything that I heard. I went back to my normal chiropractic life, and I did nothing with the information that I heard. Then I go back to another conference about 2 years later, 2008, and about 10 or 12 of my colleagues that were in the previous conference are now here at this conference. The only difference between them and me is they heard this information and they acted up on it. And they were basically coming up to me and they were throwing up all over me, and they said, Brent, isn't this the most powerful thing to build, keep, and create wealth? It doesn't matter if you make $10 an hour or $10,000 an hour. Everybody needs to break those bonds of financial slavery. They don't even realize they're in and start taking control of their own. So anyway, they were coming up to me and they were going on and on about this stuff. So I thought to myself, there has to be something to do, right? Because there's no way that 10 or 12 of my closest colleagues are lying to me. Maybe 1 or 2, but not 10 or 12. So I went home and I told my wife, I said, honey, we have to start implementing this concept in our life. And it was at that time, February 2008, I
I found myself $984,711 in third-party debt. Now, you're probably thinking, how does a guy from Kansas be almost $1 million in debt? I know if you live in California, that buys you a very small house, yeah? But in Kansas, it buys you a lot. Well, how did I become almost $1 million in debt? Well, remember, I went to chiropractic school and I had all those student loans, right? So I had my chiropractic student loan. I had the house that I lived in. I also have a condo that's like down at the lake in the Ozarks. That's where I spent my summer. And if you have a condo on the lake, that's what you have to have. A boat and a wave runner, right? I mean, yeah, man, you can't have a condo on the lake without a boat and a wave runner, right? I'm also an airplane pilot. That's what you have to have if you're an airplane pilot. An airplane. So it didn't take me a lot to become almost $1 million in debt. Well, I was able to apply this one simple concept that I'm going to share with you today, and I was able to pay that debt off in 39 months, 3 years and 3 months. I never had to change my tax code, never had to work any harder. I never had to take any additional risk control. I just added one simple step in my financial life. And that's what I'm going to do today. Now, I know there's only the one side working, so everyone over here, move over here. It's up to you. You can if you want to, but there's plenty of room up here. But this is what I'm going to be going over. So if you guys are at home watching online or the camera, don't watch me, watch the screen, okay? Because that's where all the information is be. Now, this concept called the instant banking concept, I did not invent it. I did not create it as a matter of fact. There's a guy that wrote this book. It's called Becoming Your Own Banker by R. Nelson Nash. Now, this is a book that you want to add to your wealth building library. This book completely changed my financial life. Now, R. Nelson Nash, he passed away in March of 2019, so about 4.5 years ago, at age 87 years old. This book completely changed my life. I suggest add this book to your wealth building library. There's another book out there called Mapping Out the Millionaire Mystery. Now, I wrote this book a few years ago with a colleague of mine named Chris Noggle. And if you guys have not heard of Chris Noggle or you don't follow him online, you need to do that. Go to chrisnoggle.com, especially if you're in the real estate. Chris Noggle has had a couple of shows on TV real estate. One was on HTV called 50 Builders. You need to follow Chris Noggle. But anyway, both of us wrote this book. All you got to do if you want this book, I'll send you the ebook version. All you got to do is send me an email, brent@themoneymultiplier.com. You all have this handout, right? Everybody has this handout. On the front of this handout, all you got to do is send an email, and I will send you a copy of that ebook that I wrote. Now, just to be totally clear, Brian, I'm not sure if we have sound or not. You kind of said maybe we'll have sound or maybe we won't have sound. Just to be totally clear, what I'm going to be talking about for the next 48 minutes, just so we're clear. All right? So money is what we're going to be talking about for about the next 45 minutes. Now, in order to talk about money, though, guess what we have to have? The thing we have to do, is it okay if I cut down here more to is that good? Can you guys get mad at me? All right, that's still much better down here before. Now, in order to talk about money, we have to have the definition of money. Do we not? If I asked you to tell me the definition of money, what would you guys tell me? Currency. Oh, I heard it. Exchange. All money is a means of exchange. That's the definition of money. Not all we do with money every day is what? We exchange it. We exchange money for food, money, car for money, money for car, house for money, money for house, right? That's all money is a means of exchange. So that's going to be our definition of money. Now, I'm going to give you a little homework because I'm not going to go over everything. Now, on that handout that I gave you, on the back page of the handout, do not take notes on the back page of the handout. Because on the very back page of the handout, at the end of my talk, the thing you may want to do is give me your name
Brendan said, I'm gonna be doing a breakout session in, it's called room A, OJ, room A, OJ. Tell me what room it's in? OJ, and it starts with 120, that'll be my breakout session. But I'm gonna give you a little homework, all right? And the homework is, I want you to go home and I want you to go on YouTube and I want you to watch this thing called the backward bicycle. It's about 7, I think it's about 7 minutes and 50 seconds long. It's called the backward bicycle, and you will know, okay, after you watch it, why I asked you to watch it. Here's okay, I'm not gonna play it. Not gonna play it. All right. So, but I do want you to go home and take a look at it. So write down, not on the back page, on there, the YouTube video backwards, right? Now, so anyway, here's the guy named Will Rogers. What Will Rogers says is the problem in America isn't so much what people don't know, it's what people think they know that just ain't so. So a lot of the things you've been taught about your money and your wealth, it may not actually be true. So I want you to keep an open mind as I go through the concept of here. I'm going to talk to you about how your money flows. I'm going to talk about how to get all the money back for everything you're going to buy and own in your lifetime. Before I end today, I'm going to show you how to get all the money back for every car you buy, drive. So that means what? You say, what is money back for my car? So look, I don't even know you, but I know how to buy. So when you buy cars, what is it? You pay asset, you pay finance, right? That's how you buy a car. Because I think you guys all are pretty honest with these fuel charges. Well, there's a couple of you, but most of you all look pretty honest. But what you had to do in order to buy the car, you had to give your money to the party. You bought the car. You bought it, right? Transaction's over. Everybody goes so happy. But how much is the way that I can add one step to the financial life and not only bring you the car, that'd be pretty cool. You get the car in the money. So, right, that's and I thought, so I was in 2008. So I get it. So I'm going to show you how to get all the okay? So the thing is, we'll talk about it right now. Out of all the cars you ever bought, right now, how much of the money you have? Zero. Does anyone have any more than zero for all the cars you bought? No. So if I show you how to get the car or all the money back, that's important. And if I can show you how to do that, okay, the car is how's it? Everybody. Oh, right, the way runner. Your tax, you know, tax, my state tax, my federal tax, my local tax, everything that you spend money on, all right, we're going to talk about the history of money. We're going to talk about these things on the sheet. Do that, all right? Marathon and okay, I have complicated. I know the last thing that's Saturday. I'm going to say you got $25,000 or you take a lot of you guys take green, fine. I will give you that presentation. So I'm going to say that you have $25,000 bank. I'm going to assume everybody in this room probably has a statement, right? And you got $25,000 in the bank, right? Oh, I know they're not paying for it. But I'm going to say you found a really, really good bank that bank is paying you. Well, I'm gonna be your bank. And I'm going to do the thing you do, come to the bank and you take rent. I want to buy $25,000 car. So I want to take $25,000 out of the bank. I want to go cash for $25,000 car. No. Then what I'm going to do, I'm going to loan $25,000 and I'm going to start with it. And it, now if you go to a bank and buy a car, how long will you finance that car? 5 years, months, right? Doesn't matter for you, 8 months. Okay, in this example, say 5 years or months. Now, the thing that I'm saying is I want you to keep $25,000 in the bank or $25,000 over the same 5 years. Our bank will pay you more money on now, is that a true statement? In other words, it's possible to make more money earning 4 at the same time you're paying 6 over that same time. And I see your nation, okay? And no, and that's exactly the same thing I said when I was working back in 2006. Because if I earn 4 and pay 6, I'm losing 2. Yes? Well, the banker told you the truth. So if you go out and buy a $25,000 car and you buy it in 5 years, you're going to pay for it a month. You pay for it. So that means over the course of 5 years, you're going to pay almost $29,000 for that car. 25,000 in principal and 4,000 in interest. Are you with me so far?
Yes.
The same money I told you to leave in the bank account earning 6% over the same equal time period of 6 months or 60 months or 5 years, you actually have a total of $30,525. Now, is this number 30,525? Is that a larger number than the 28,999? Or do you guys in Kansas do math differently than I do in Florida? It's a bigger number, right? How can that be? How can you have more money earning 4 at the same time you're paying 6 over the same time period?
Compounding interest.
Here's what's happening. The car balance goes down every month, does it not? Every month you're paying it down. It's on a decreasing balance. But the dollars in the account are going up. But one goes down and the other one goes up. But our minds are not programmed to think that way because we think if we earn 4 and pay 6, we're losing 2. We have to start learning how money works. Now, all I wanted to do with this exercise is prove to you you can make money all day long earning 4 and paying 6. Are we good with that? Yeah. Why is that important? There is a method to my madness. And I keep hitting the wrong clicker button because this isn't my clicker. Now we're going to talk about the machine. The machine that we're going to use to build, keep, and create wealth. Are you guys ready for it? You ready for that machine?
Yes.
That machine is a whole life policy in a mutual company that pays dividends. Look, there's 3 people leaving the room right now. I said whole life insurance. They're exiting the door, right? So, all of you guys are looking at me. I wish you could be standing where I'm at right now. And because all of you guys are looking at me like, what? A whole life insurance policy to build wealth? Why on earth would I ever want to use a whole life policy to build wealth? Well, let me ask you, why would you want to use a whole life policy to build, keep, and create wealth? Any ideas? Tax advantages? A base you won't lose? Okay, all good answers. The reason that we're doing this is because this is what the wealthy do. The wealthy, the #1 purchasers of whole life insurance in the world are conventional banks. Conventional banks own more in whole life insurance than all of their land and their buildings combined. As a matter of fact, since 2013, conventional banks have quadrupled the amount of life insurance they purchased. Now, Why do you think banks are buying so much whole life insurance? Is it because they're stupid or they know something the rest of us don't know? They know something the rest of us don't know. So all we're going to do is mimic and imitate what the wealthy have been doing for over 200 years. Because see, this concept is not new. It's not on trial. It's not being tested. It's been around for over 200 years. I want you to go research people like the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the Morgans, the Stanleys, the Barclays. Go look and see how Walt Disney built Disneyland. Go look and see how Ray Kroc started McDonald's. Go look and see how Pampered Chef got started before Warren Buffett bought Pampered Chef. This concept has been around for over 200 years. All we're going to do is mimic and imitate what the wealthy have been doing. Now, how can you be sure that conventional banks are the #1 purchasers of whole life insurance in the world? Don't take my word for it. Go out and Google something called BOLI. BOLI. It stands for Bank-Owned Life Insurance. And you will see the hundreds of pages that come up on how much life insurance conventional banks actually own. Now, let me be totally clear. This is not just any product. It's not any whole life insurance policy. It's not the life insurance policy that your brother-in-law has told you about, right? We all have a brother-in-law that sells life insurance, do we not? It's not that policy. This is a specifically designed, specially engineered, whole life policy in a mutual company that pays dividends, that has high immediate cash value. One more time, high immediate cash value, and the definition of immediate is within 30 days, which means when you put money into this policy, you can access money within 30 days. This is not a term policy. It's not an IUL. It's not a variable. It's not a universal life policy. This is a specifically designed, specially engineered whole life policy in a mutual company that pays dividends. All right. So let's go back to the 4 and the 6%. Why is that important? Remember I said all I wanted to do is prove to you can make money all day long earning 4 and paying 6. Well, why is the 4% important? Because inside of your policy, your guaranteed growth rate with the dividend is greater than 4%. See, everything I show you up here on the screen is going to act a lot better in real life. I always like to under-promise and over-deliver. And prior to the pandemic, I was on 55 to 70 stages for the last 12 years almost. And after the pandemic, everything went to Zoom and virtual, right? And now all the live events are coming back, so we're back on the stages again all around the country and teaching this concept. So I actually work with over 7,000 different clients in every state of the country on this concept. And they'll tell you everything I show you up here in real life, it works better than what my numbers are up here. It's all about under-promising and over-delivering. But inside of that policy, you have a growth rate that includes the dividend of over 4%. Now, is that growth rate in the policy, do you think that is taxable money or tax-free growth? Tax-free. And tell me what our largest eroder of wealth is. Taxes. Why is the 6% important up there? The 6% is important because that is the highest interest charge the insurance company will charge you to take a policy loan. So can we make money all day long earning 4 and paying 6? Yes? Okay, good. Let's move on. Now, we talked about the definition of money. And the thing that we said is the definition of money was what? A means of exchange. Now, who in here believes in compound interest? My screen went black. Of course it did. Who in here believes in compound interest? Somebody will fix that, I'm sure. They're going to all rushing down here to work on it now. See them coming? Look at them. They're all coming down to fix it. All right. Who believes in compound interest? Anybody? Yeah, you've all been told compound interest was a great thing, right? Well, let's talk about compound interest, all right? The only way compound interest works is your product or your money has to sit still. So if I have this $20 bill and I want it to compound, what do I got to do with it? I got to take it down, put it in the bank, and I got to leave it sit still. Yes? Well, motion is a natural law of God, is it not? Everything is in motion. I'm up here, I'm walking back and forth, my hands are moving, my lips are moving. Earlier this morning, I ate a bagel. Pretty soon that bagel is going to be in motion throughout my body, yeah? So everything is in motion, yeah? How many of you would like to eat fish out of a stagnant pond? Any of you? No. Let me ask you this question. Who went to the grocery store this past week, and you went in the grocery store, you went to the fresh produce section, Johnny Avocado, we got some avocados, you went and you got fresh produce. How many of you bought fresh produce that you do not intend on eating? None of you. Because if you don't eat it, what happens to it? It rots and it spoils, right? So motion is a natural law of God, but compounding stops that motion. But we've all been taught compound interest is a great thing. Well, I want you to name me one, okay, I want you to name me a company or a business that actually uses compound interest. Just pick one. You all tell me what? Banks. Banks use compound interest, right? No. Banks pay you compound interest and they charge you compound interest, but they don't use it themselves, do they? Here's what I mean. If I took this $20 bill, I highlighted it and I put my initials on it, and I took it down to the local bank and I give it to the bank teller, does the bank teller take my $20 bill and they have a little box in the back room and it says Brent Kessler and that's where they leave it until I come back and get it? No. If I go back and I want the same $20 bill back in an hour, are they going to give me the same one? No, they gave it to you. How about in 10 minutes, are they going to give you the same $20 bill back? No, they're not, because they're moving it. They're keeping it in motion. So banks don't use compound interest. How much money does a grocery store make if groceries are compounding on the shelf if nobody's buying them? Zero. How much money does the car dealer make if cars aren't moving off the lot? Zero. How much money do you make in the housing industry if houses aren't moving? How much money does the airlines make if nobody's flying? How much money does the hotel make if nobody's checking in and checking out? Zero, zero, zero. Not one business in the world actually uses compound interest. Isn't it a little bit strange that all the major institutions, banks, Wall Street mutual funds, insurance companies, they all tell us to park our money with them and leave it sit still, but they don't do it themselves? Isn't that a little strange? I mean, if it was so good to let your money sit, then why aren't they doing it? A lot of you guys have a 401k, an IRA, or a qualified plan, do you not? You put your money in there, you're proud to put your money in there, you've been doing it for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, you get your paycheck, part of it goes to the 401k, IRA, or qualified plan. Why do you do that? You do it because you want more in the future. You want to save for the future, right? Well, are there any guarantees with that 401k, IRA, or qualified plan? There is one guarantee. It's guaranteed to never go below zero, but how exciting would that be if that actually happened? Wouldn't that suck? How's your 401k been performing for you for the last 18 or 24 months? You liking those numbers? Probably not. Who's controlling that money, you or somebody else? Somebody else is controlling it. Tell me everything you know about your 401k, your IRA, your qualified plan. Tell me all that you know about it. Wait, hang on, don't tell me. I'll tell you what you know. You know if it goes up or down based on the quarterly statements that you get, and you may know if it's in a high, low, or moderate risk category. But other than that, you guys don't know crap about that plan. And somebody else is controlling it, are they not? I want you to think of everybody you know at retirement age. And for some of you in here, it may be you. How many people have you met or you know at retirement age that are totally happy, excited, elated, ecstatic, joyful, delighted, thrilled about your 401k, IRA, qualified plan and how it's performed? It's got to be at least one of you. Not one? There's usually one or two. No, most of you don't know people like that. Do you know why? Because you all know people that are at retirement age that are out there working, not because they want to be, but because they have to be for survival. Because their 401k, their IRA, their pension, their qualified plan did not perform the way that you thought. Now, but the reason you do it is why? You want to get more money later, and guess why else you do it? Because it's what everybody else does. It's what your parents taught you to do, your grandparents, it's what your friends, your colleagues, and your coworkers are doing, right? So you figure it's a good thing to do it too. Now let me ask you 3 questions. Is your dollar worth more today or in the future? Today. And if you ever forget that, think about how many candy bars you could buy 20 years ago for $1, how many you can buy today for $1. Number 2, are taxes going to go up or go down? They're going to go up. And even if they don't go up, aren't we taxed on more stuff all the time? Absolutely, we're taxed on more stuff, right? Number 3, if you have a choice to pay tax on the small amount of seed or the large amount of harvest, which one would you rather pay tax on? The small amount of the seed or the large amount of the harvest? I'm really clicking. I promise I am. You'd rather pay tax on the small amount of the seed, yes? I agree with all three of those answers. All three of those answers you are violating by putting your money in a 401k, an IRA, or a qualified plan. Because what you're doing, see, there's one lady that's heading out the room right now. She's going to throw up because she's going to the bathroom. She's going to throw up because she's like, oh my gosh, I've been putting money into the 401k plan for years and I can't believe it. So she's on the way out the door to throw up. I get it. It happens at least once every time. All right. Now, right? So again, the thing I want you to do is use your good dollars today and pay people back with weaker dollars in the future. All right, now, one step and I'm going to leave this. We said money is a means of exchange. So food is money, money is food, right? And a lot of you guys have put money in those qualified plans. You've been doing it for years, have you not? 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years? Or the thing you're going to do is continue to do it. Oh, by the way, how long does your money have to be in those plans before you can get it out without paying the penalty? Age 59 and a half, right? So someone else has to control your money until you're age 59 and a half. But even when you do get it out, you have to pay the taxes, don't you? Now, the thing we said is food is money, money is food. So let's say we go to the grocery store today and we buy a loaf of bread or a gallon of milk. Are you going to wait 5, 10, 15, 20 years to eat that bread or drink the milk when you buy it? That would be crazy, wouldn't it? What if we go buy a car or a house today? You're going to wait 5, 10, 15, 20 years to drive that car and move in the house? That would be ridiculous, would it not? So why are you doing that with your money? See, people do things with money they would never do with things that money buys. You would never buy a loaf of bread, put it in the freezer, and wait 20 or 30 years to eat it, but you'll put money in a 401k, an IRA, or qualified plan and hope to get more money later. Oh, but not me, Brent. Not me. I'm the special snowflake in the room. My 401k, I get a match. I get a match. That's what you tell me. Well, first of all, how can the match be guaranteed if the principal's not guaranteed? But that's all right. Let's go with your theory and say that you get a match. So what that means, we said money is food, food is money. So what that means is you would go to the store, buy a loaf of bread, bring it home, put the bread in the freezer, open up the freezer 10, 15, or 20 years from now, and guess what's in there? 2 loaves of bread. How much better is that second loaf of bread going to taste 20 years from now? It will still be freezer burned the same as the first one. Will it not? I'm just trying to get you to think about what's going on. All right, let's talk about how a bank works. Okay, here's how a bank works. This is how your bank works. I'm going to say that you have $100,000 of your money. It doesn't have to be $100,000. It could be $1, $1,000, $1 million. The point is that it's your money. You put the money into the bank. Every time you put money into that bank, let's just say you found a good bank and the bank's going to pay you 4% interest. Well, when you put money into the bank, that money becomes a liability to the bank, doesn't it? Because they owe you interest. Well, how does the bank take your money and turn it into an asset? They loan it. That's what banks do. They're in the lending business. So I don't even know you, but I know what you do with your money. You put your money into the bank and you found a really good bank here in Kansas City that's paying you 4% interest. No, I know you didn't, but I'm going to say you found a really good one. So now the thing that you do, the depositor, you put the money in the bank and guess what you do with it? You go back to the bank. I got to be standing with one. There it is. All right. So the thing you do is you go to the bank and you borrow money from the bank, the money that you put in there, the depositor, because that's where the money comes from, is you, the depositor. The bank doesn't have any money. All the money the bank has is your money, the depositor's money. So now what you do is you go to the bank and you buy a house at, let's call it 7% interest. And if you buy just a house, are you expected to pay the bank back with interest? Absolutely, and you do it and you never miss a beat because you know if you do, they'll come and get the house. So who's in control of that transaction? The bank. How about a car? Has anyone gone to the bank to buy a car? Let's call that 8%. So now you put money in the bank, you borrowed at 8%, you have to pay the bank back with interest. Yeah, so who's in control of that transaction? How about a home remodel? You want new granite countertops, a swimming pool, a patio, a deck? You call that 9%. Right? Money's got to go in the bank. So can you see how come in the bank that $20 bill that I have highlighted with my initials on it is no longer there when I go back and get it? Because they're moving it. They're moving it. They're moving it. They're moving it. The money stays in motion. So the money goes back to the banking system. And finally, what you're going to do is you're going to do pay off all the credit cards. We'll call that 12%, do a debt consolidation loan. That money has to go back in the banking system. Now let's look and see how well you did and how well the bank did. Now remember, you found a really good bank that's going to pay you 4%. But you also went to the bank and you borrowed money from the bank at 7. So the bank made 7 and you made 4. So if the bank made 7 and you made 4, how much more did the bank make than you? 7 minus 4 is 3. How about 8 minus 4 on the card? Okay, 9 minus 4? 5. Now they get a little harder. 12 minus 4. I think I did hear a wrong answer. 12 minus 4 is 8. Yes. So look, the bank made 20% and you made 4%. The bank made 20 and you made 4. How much more did the bank make than you? 16. Close. What about 500% more than you? Because look, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you made $4 and the bank made $20, didn't they make 5 times the amount of money you made? Banks are making between 400 and 1,300% annually on the money you leave there each and every year. You're thinking, Brent, I hear you up there flapping your gums and moving your lips. How do I really know that's true? How do I know banks make that much money on you? You can go get a report that's called BauerFinancial.com. Don't write it on the back page. You might want to turn that page in. Bauer, B-A-U-E-R, BauerFinancial.com. You could go look up any bank that you want for any year that you want, and you will see banks make no less than 400% annually on the money that you leave there each and every year. If you think about it, it makes sense, doesn't it? Because have you guys ever driven down the road, no matter where you live, you get to a stop sign or a stoplight, and there's 4 corners on that intersection, yes? Tell me what at least one building is that you see on one of those corners. A bank. Are the banks on the bad property, rundown location, bad architecture, bad landscaping? Or are they the nicest buildings in town? And you walk in, it's all nice inside, the people look good, smell good, everything looks good inside. And a lot of times if you go to a bank, they give you stuff. Have you ever been there? They give you coffee, soda, like tea, cookies, right? Right? So they give you stuff, right? As a matter of fact, there's a bank in our town, and if you go there on a certain day of the week, they give you wine. Yeah, guess what day my wife goes to the bank 3 or 4 times a day? That's why she's not here this morning. She's hungover. Yesterday was wine day. All right, so all I want you to do is to be the banker in your own life, because you're doing everything now, like all that stuff up there now, are you not? So who's getting all your money? How much risk does the bank take to do this? How much risk? Whose money do they use? They use your money, so they're not really taking any risk. Now, I will agree that interest rate offsets risk. So the higher risk you are as a borrower, the highest interest rate you have to pay. And if you're too high of a risk, are they going to loan you the money anyway? No. All right, let's move on. I'm going to show you this last example, and I'm going to show you other examples in the breakout session. And now what I'm going to, there it is, BauerFinancial.com. If you find a bank that makes less than 400% annually on your money, you owe it to me to tell me. I've been teaching this for about 12 years now, and I've had this same slide for all 12 years. Nobody has ever been able to come to me and show me a bank that makes less than 400% annually on the money you leave in. Okay, now what I'm going to do, if I can get this to move, I'm going to show you, I got to get it to move a few slides, and it's also on your handout. I'm going to show you how you're going to get all the money back on all the cars you're going to buy, drive, and own for the rest of your life. Would that be pretty cool? Yeah. Okay, now, remember what the machine is we're going to use to build our wealth? The machine is what? A whole life policy in a mutual company that pays dividends. So we have premium deposits that we put in. We pay premium into the policy. Guess what? You decide the amount of money that you want to put into your policy. Up here, it's going to show $10,000 a year, but you can choose $1,000 a year, $100 a month, $100,000 a year. You can pay whatever amount of premium that you want in your policy, and you can pay it monthly, quarterly, twice a year, annually, and you can always lower it if you want to. So it's pretty flexible, yeah? So look, there's a lot of numbers on here. I'm going to make it really easy. On the left is just time. Time goes by. Year 1 to 8, year 9 to 13. Then you have age and death benefit. They're grayed out, so we're not even going to talk about age and death benefit because it doesn't matter. I'll talk about that more in the breakout session. My breakout session is where? Room A, Osage A at 110 or 120. All right, this person is going to put in $10,000 into their policy and pay it for 7 years. Now, before you guys totally freak out, remember what I just said. You decide the amount of money you want to put into the policy, and you decide how long you want to pay the money in there for, okay? Well, but after you understand this concept, you are never, ever, ever going to want to stop putting your money into this vehicle because of the growth of what's happening inside of it. But in this case, we're going to do $10,000 a year for a total of 7 years. Now, if you notice here, he's going to go buy a car for $25,000 at the end of the 3rd year, beginning of the 4th year. At the end of the 3rd year, beginning of the 4th year, he's going to buy a $25,000 car. Now, I would never have you wait to the end of the 3rd year, beginning of the 4th year to buy a car. I want you to start using the cash in your policy immediately. How soon is immediately? Within 30 days, right? In this case, he's going to wait to the end of the 3rd year. If you use your money sooner and play honest banker with yourself, the numbers are only going to be way bigger than what I'm about to show you. So what he's going to do is he's going to buy a car for $25,000, and he's going to pay himself back with interest over the next 5 years. So $500 a month or $6,000 a year. So he's going to borrow 25 and pay back 30. Now, if you go to a bank to borrow money to buy a car, are you expecting to pay them back with interest? So do you think it's a good idea if you borrow money from yourself to pay yourself back with interest? It's a great idea, but do you ever do it? No. See, I don't even know you, and I know what you do with your money. The thing you do is you go put your money in the bank account, in a conventional bank account of somebody else's. And guess what you do after you put your money in there? You go out and you pay everybody else first. You write checks for the car payment, the house payment, the electricity, the food, the travel, the entertainment, the charitable giving, for Bobby's soccer practice, Susie's piano lessons, and you hope there's money left over for you. You have to start paying yourself first. Pay yourself first and then pay other people and pay yourself with interest. Okay, so let's see what we did here in 8 years. In 8 years, we put in 10 times 7 is 70, 6 times 5 is 30 for a total of 100,000. Are you with me? Put in 100,000. We took out 25 to buy the car. If we put in 100 and took out 25 to buy the car, how much more did we put in than we took out? 75. 100 minus 25 is 75,000. That is our true net injection. How much money do we have in the policy? How much cash? 73,226. So if you take 73,226, divide it into 75,000, that means you just got back 97 cents of every dollar for that car. How would you like to have 97 cents back of every dollar for your car? Is there anything stupid, ridiculous, or idiotic that I'm doing? No. All I did is I bought what? I bought a life insurance policy, and I'm using it to buy the car. You're going to buy the car anyway. Oh, the $25,000 car is too much? The $10,000 premium is too much? Okay. Instead of $10,000, knock that down to $1,000 and buy a $2,500 computer. It works the same way. Oh, it's too little? Take the $10,000, increase it to $100,000 and buy a $250,000 house. It doesn't matter. Add a zero, take off a zero. It doesn't matter what the number is. It works the same way. But now that car wears out, does it not? Now, okay, that car you've been driving for 5 years, and now you're going to go buy another car in year 9. How many of you in here are still driving your very first car that you ever bought, driven, and know? Like nobody, right? Unless you're like 15, right? How many of you are driving the very last car you're ever going to buy driving? Nobody, because you're going to get tired of that car, it's going to wear out, and you're going to go get another car. So we're going to go get another car right here in year 9. We're going to pay $25,000 for that car. I'm no longer going to pay premium deposit, or I'm no longer going to make premium into my policy. All I'm going to do is pay myself back the same way I was doing before. $500 a month or $6,000 a year for 5 years, a total of $30,000. So now let's look between year 9 and 13. Between 9 and 13, I took out 25 and I put back 30. If I put back 25 and put back 30, how much more did I put back than I took out? 5,000. So 5,000 is my true net injection. Well, how much cash do I have in the policy right now? How much cash? My clicker's just not going. I don't know why. How much cash is in there in year 13? Look at that right there, 95,000. So it grew from 75, it grew from 73 to 95, which is a $22,000 growth with a $5,000 net injection. How do you like buying cars my way? Is there anything stupid, ridiculous, or idiotic that I'm doing? No, man, all I did is I bought a stupid ass life insurance policy and I'm using it to buy the car. You're going to buy the car anyway. Now, a few of you are just like, what? Brent, why did you just use the word ass? That was not very nice because 3 of you are texting, 2 of you are sleeping, and a couple of you over here are doing whatever. But now that I use the word ass, you're back with me and you're paying attention again. It's something about the word ass that brings you right back up to the screen. It works every time. All right, now watch what happened in 13 years. How fast is 13 years going in your life? Anyway, sir, how old are you?
Oh, 47.
47. So does it feel like just yesterday you were 34? In a couple of weeks, I'm gonna be 56. It feels just like not too long ago, I was 43. So 13 years goes by quick, does it not? Watch what we did in 13 years. We put in 10 times 7 is 70, 6 times 5 is 30, 100,000 in the first 8 years. Then we put in 6 times 5 is 30, 130. So we put $130,000 into this thing, didn't we, in 13 years? But how much did we take out? Well, 130, and I took out 25 and 25, a total of 50. So if I put in 130 and took out 50, how much more did I put in than I took out? 80. 130 minus 50 is 80, is it not? How much cash is in my policy? You can say it. 95. So are you telling me I put in 130, I took out 50, so my net injection is 80, and here I am sitting here in the 13th year with $95,000 of cash in my account? Not only do you have $95,000 in cash in your account, guess what else you have? You have 2 cars in the driveway. A 5-year-old car and a 10-year-old car that you've owned, driven, and used. You can still drive it. You can use it. You can sell it. You can donate it. Do whatever you want. But did I just show you how to get all the money back on every car you're going to buy, drive, and own for the rest of your life? Is there anything stupid or ridiculous or idiotic that I did here? No, man. I just added 1 step in my financial life. That's it. 1 step I added in my financial life. Now, if I could do this for a $25,000 car, I could do it for anything else. Could I do it for a boat, a bicycle, an airplane, a house? Anything. How about if this wasn't a $25,000 car? What if it was a $50,000 car, and instead of you paying $6,000 back to yourself, you're paying $12,000? The numbers only get bigger, do they not? What if mama and daddy had a $50,000 car? The numbers get bigger. I can do it for anything. We're turning every liability into an asset, every depreciating asset into an appreciating asset. Are you in this for the long term or the short term? You say long term, but we tend to get hung up in short term thinking. Have you ever read a book called A Purpose-Driven Life by Rick Warren? In that book, Rick Warren says life is like a marathon. It doesn't matter where you start, it only matters where you finish. Could I do this for my taxes? Could I get all the money back for all the taxes that I pay? What about charitable giving? Could I give to charity and get all the money back? Oh, Brent, that ain't right. God does not want me to get my charitable giving back. If God did not want you to get your charitable giving back, he would not have me standing up here in front of the room and you sitting in those chairs learning how to get the money back. Now, Woody, do you know any poor people adding wings onto any churches? Neither do I. We're turning every liability into an asset, every depreciating asset into an appreciating asset. Have you ever heard of a guy named Robert Kiyosaki? He wrote a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, but he also wrote another book called Second Chance. This is exactly what Robert Kiyosaki talks about in that book, Second Chance. He talks about this same concept that I'm sharing with you. But when you read the book, you never understood it because they make it too complicated to understand. Have you ever heard of a guy named Tony Robbins? Tony Robbins wrote a book called Money, Master the Game. Chapter 5.4 of that Tony Robbins book, this is exactly what he's talking about. But again, they make it too complicated to understand. Okay, let me wrap this up for here. Remember, I'm going in the breakout session at 1:20 today, and I'm in room what? Oh, St. J. Now, I'm really trying to hit this and go forward. I just want to get to a couple last slides here because I got 5 minutes and 28 seconds left, and it's not moving. There you go. Okay. Oh. It went back too fast. I don't want to go back. So that book, Second Chance, and Tony Robbins. 2 other books you need to add to your wealth building library. I'm going to go over the money multiplier map in the breakout session. I'm going to show you how I paid off $984,000 of debt in 39 months in that session. But you're probably thinking, hey, how come I've never heard about this before, right? Well, who uses this concept? Hang on, we're getting there. It's kind of like my diet. It's going slow, so hang on.
Tell me where to stop.
Okay, keep going. Okay, oh good. Are you controlling? Okay, good. Okay, you're probably thinking this concept I haven't heard about. Who uses it? Oh, no. Go, there you go. So cash value life insurance is used by the University of Michigan. This is how they pay Jim Harbaugh. Actually read this article. I was about to give a live presentation in November in Denver, Colorado. It's a great time. In November is a great time for sports. I opened up ESPN.com. This article comes up. Jim Harbaugh, they make him a top paid coach and they get all the money back to the University of Michigan because they're paying him through the life insurance policy. It's a win-win for the coach, and it's a win-win for the university. And if you know anything about the team, the University of Michigan back in 2016, it's a good thing they were getting the money back on the guy because he was not winning the games he was supposed to be winning. Walt Disney, after failing in traditional means of financing, meaning Walt Disney went to the conventional bank and he said, Mr. Banker, I got this great idea. It's called Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck. I'd like to borrow some money for that idea. They said, no, we're not going to lend you money for that. He had to borrow money from his life insurance policies in order to start Disneyland. Who knows if Disney World would even be around if it wasn't for life insurance? Ray Kroc with McDonald's, the same way. He had to use money to cover the salaries of his employees by collaterally borrowing from his life insurance policies. Doris Christopher in Chicago, she started this company with $3,000 called Pampered Chef in 1980 in her Chicago home. Later sold it to Warren Buffett for $1.5 billion with a B dollars. Right? There you go. President Joe Biden. This article is about 10 years old. Joe Biden says he has no stocks, bonds, or savings account, but he holds, at this time, about 10 years ago, June of 2014, he has 6 life insurance policies in a mutual life insurance company. So Joe Biden was using this 10 years ago. Joe Biden owns 6 of these policies 10 years ago. I wonder how many policies he owns now, or maybe Hunter owns them all. I don't know. I usually lose 2 or 3 of you from that joke. You're out the door. Okay, but anyway, yeah, the JCPenney, Sanford Farm, it goes on and on. Okay, now that you know this information, everybody should do it because, as I said earlier, it doesn't matter if you make $10 an hour or $10,000 an hour. Everybody needs to break the bonds of financial slavery you don't even realize you're in and start taking control of your money. There's a guy named Warren Buffett. Now, I'm a very simple person. I'm not very complicated. I do not like complicated stuff. Here's what I heard Warren Buffett say in October of 2008, and it makes so much sense. He said the poor people would just start doing what the rich people do or the wealthy people do. They wouldn't be poor anymore. How much sense does that make? All we're going to do is mimic and imitate what the wealthy are doing. See, I don't want you to do anything different with your money. I don't want you to change what you're doing. Continue to do exactly what you're doing with your money, especially if it's working for you. All we're going to do is add one step. We're just going to add where the money goes first. That's it. We're just going to add where it goes. One step in your financial life. Okay, so let me, only one of two things are going to happen to us in the next 10 days, 10 hours, 10 months, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years. We're going to live or we're going to die. Anyway, so you think we're better off with this if we live? I hope so. How about if we die? Now, I don't like to use the word die. I like to use the word graduate, but you use whatever word you want. Is our beneficiaries better off with when we pass, die, or graduate? It's not an if, it's a when. We all have an expiration date. How much should I talk about death benefit? Hardly at all. I didn't even talk about life insurance. Life insurance is the vehicle. How much should I talk about the internal growth of your policy grows tax-free? What you want to do is pay tax on your money one time only. Get your money into a tax-free environment and get the government out of your hair. Do you not? The loan never has to be repaid back because it's a prepayment of the death benefit. Essentially, you're using your death benefit while you're living. And why are we doing this? There's a lot of reasons that we're doing this, Brian Music. Why are we doing this?
I want to be a billionaire, so I can buy all of the things I never had.
Okay. So I'm going to go to the breakout session where? OCJ. What time? 1. Yeah, that's good. Get there at 1. Hang out for 15 minutes. Great. Okay. Again, on this book, Mapping Out the Millionaire Mystery, all you got to do is send me an email. If this is something you think you may want to do, or you just want to know how it works, the back of your handout, put your name, your email, and your phone number, and turn them in to Larry and his beautiful wife and his family. Can you stand up, Larry? All right. Anyway, they will collect those from you. And the thing we'll do is just go over your personal situation and how it works. We'll do a strategy call with you. I've got my contact information there. And to view the whole entire presentation, right there, go to themoneymultiplier.com/presentation, and it's a full 90+ minute presentation. But listen, if you turn in those information, if you turn in those sheets, make sure you write where we can read them, and only turn them in if you are going to accept our phone call when we call you. Don't ghost us, all right? Don't make us go through your gatekeepers to find you. All right, I'm done. I'll begin the breakout session. I'll go about an hour almost in the breakout session with just not the same stuff, with all new stuff that's in addition to this. So thank you guys for having me, Terrence, Brenda. Thank you, and I'll see you in the breakout session.
All kinds of ways to make money. Brian, can I get this one?
Woo!
Thank you. There's all kinds of ways to make money. Take this one. We'll try now. Yeah. Let's got the other one.
I'll leave it.
Oh, thank you. It's on. All right, there's all different kinds of ways to make money. And although we don't make it about money here at Becoming the Best You, money still is how we operate, right? You got to have money to be able to make it in the world. So we got many ways to teach you how to do that, to help you fulfill your dreams. There's 4 guys here that have done that. So you get to pick from them in these breakout hours. Get 1 of 4. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Our next speaker, I got to meet her in Africa. I went to Africa with her, and I got to hear her speak, and she's one of those when you're sitting at a table and you're talking with her and you're going, I wonder what she's going to talk about, right? She gets on the stage and she blew me away. She was actually one of the favorites there. And I've just been able to connect with her because I talk a lot about relationships. And for those of you who have been in the room with me when I talk about that, the word ship means the state of. It's not the boat or the vessel. It is the state of your relationship, the state of your marriage, I say marriage ship, the state of your leader, what? Yeah. Relationships matter. We are connected in this room because of relationships. Relationships. So I'm gonna bring up Doctor, and I'm gonna emphasize this because she just got her PhD. So, bring it up to the stage, Marcia Stewart, Dr. Marcia Stewart.
Good morning, everyone. How are you? All right, so move around a lot just because I do, but then the light is like right at you, right? So if I move around, it's to get away from the light as well. So this morning, as I sat and I listened to what everyone has to say about how do you become the best you, the one thing that I was prepared to talk about was I became the best me, or I'm still working on becoming the best me, because I understand me. So my talk is about understanding me, and that me is you. How do you understand me? Does anyone like to say or acknowledge that stuff that everybody talks about you behind your back? Or that stuff that you aren't willing to admit to yourself? How many of you have that one thing you don't really want to admit about yourself? Okay, we all have it, right? Right. So the way that you have to look at it is, in order to become the best you have to acknowledge and embrace everything about you, right? Everything about you is not going to be great. Everyone is not going to like you, right? There are going to be a lot of people who do, but those that don't, they are on your journey to become the best you, because they're going to help you understand those things about you that you either ignored, you buried, or you just said, that's not me, right? So the way that you can do that, there's several tools out there. How many of you have ever taken a personality assessment, right? How many of you have taken the Myers-Briggs? Okay, did that freak you out? All right, the Myers-Briggs, amazingly, sometimes it hits it on the money and you're looking back and saying, wait, who's looking at me when I was taking this assessment, right? Some assessments, what do? They hit it, right? How many of you have taken the strength finders? Okay, and it tells you about the strengths and it doesn't want to focus on your weaknesses. So I like a combination of both. You know why? Because without understanding the things that hold you back, you cannot move forward, because those things are going to always hold you back. This morning we talked about fear, right? Fear, when you take these personality tests, guess what? They're your weaknesses. Those fears are the things that hold you back. So when you take any type of assessment and it's telling you about those weaknesses, guess what? Be honest with yourself and embrace it. Because as I am on this journey or on this road to find the best me, I had to look in the mirror and say, you know that's true, right? that little ugly thing that people whisper about you behind your back or they say about you, it's actually true. So what are you going to do about it? A lot of times people get mad when people talk about them. Or sometimes people get mad when someone's honest with you. I'm one of those people, I tell people, please don't ask me if you don't want the truth. All right, don't ask me, because once you get the truth, then people stop talking to you. They ask you, come on, tell me. You tell them, next thing you know, they don't want to talk to you anymore, right? Don't be that person. Be prepared when you ask someone, what is that one thing that I do that irritates you? Or when someone says something about you and you go ask someone and they tell you the truth, embrace it. Find out How do I embrace the truth about me? Now, I didn't say you had to change it, did I? Not everything about us should we or can we change. There are some things, whether I like it or not, I am loud. Okay, I'm just loud. When I'm in a room, I say that I'm whispering, they're like, no, you're not. I said, but I really was, right? So even though the one thing about me is that sometimes I can be loud, and then sometimes the way that I speak or deliver is not nice, right? So what I do though is I think about, how can you say that differently? How can you say that better? That's the one thing I can change, and I don't mind doing it. But there's some things that I don't care how much you do it. How many of you have the one thing you know you just cannot change about yourself? Raise a hand. Anybody want to share with me what that one thing is? Yes, ma'am. What's that one thing?
Impatience.
Impatience, okay. So you know that you're impatient. Anybody else? Yes.
I cannot change me, and I'm to fit for nobody. So that natural flow of me, in the essence of me. So when I walk in, I'm hyped. I know I'm hyped, and I can't change it.
Okay, so you're hyped, you're impatient. One more, yes.
Saying no.
Saying no. You might want to change that. Right? Just saying no, but he recognizes it, right? So think about these three things. You know that these three things are things that you cannot change about you. They are not always going to put you in the best light, in the best place, or in the best situation. So understanding that, now you have to embrace it. So how do you embrace? You know you can't say no. How do you embrace it and own it? By saying no? Okay. How do you embrace and own being impatient?
If you look at it, why it's there.
Okay,
Why it's there and see it like.
Okay, and what about you?
I just evaluate the room. So depending on where I go, I evaluate the room. And so that's how I release my energy based off of what's.
Okay, so think about what the three of these did. They owned that thing that may not be the best part of them. They understand it, they admitted it, and now they're going to take that thing that's not the best part and make it work for them. Remember, just because you think or someone else thinks it's not the best part, guess what? Sometimes it's the best part for someone at that moment. So think about that. I am an extrovert, and I say that introvert boys, deep down in it comes out sometimes, right? So the way that I do it is sometimes being an extrovert is not the best thing. How many of you are extroverts? Where are my introverts? Okay. Huh? Some of you are, okay? So we're going to talk about the ones that are extroverts and introverts. So at work one time, I took it to my team and I said, okay, guys, let's see what our MBTIs are. So we did our Myers-Briggs, and what we did is we identified how do you approach an introvert and an extrovert. So we put that on the outside of our cubicles. Why do you think we did that? Yes, someone said it. Well, the reason we did that is so that me as an extrovert, I don't let the introvert drain me, and I don't drain the introvert, right? Because it takes a lot of energy to come down, and then it takes a lot of energy to come up. So sometimes that, going back to understanding me, if you understand that people on your teams are either introverts or extroverts, you learn how to go deal with them. And when you learn how to go deal with them, what just happened to your communication? It went up. So there was one young lady on the team, and it seemed like every time I would come, she would like cringe. And I'm like, why is she cringing? It's the energy that I bring. So what I did is her thing was on the outside, so I read it and I looked at it, and I approached her the way it said, the best way to approach me. Our relationship changed right after that. You know why? Because I approached her where she was comfortable. But what happened to me? I was drained, right? Because I had to act outside of myself in order to be to where and make her comfortable. So sometimes, this is that understanding yourself. When you deal with someone and you feel drained after, you have to step back and ask, why were you drained? And the reason you were probably drained is because you had to meet them where they were. So that took the energy for you to do that. And then you have to figure out, how do you do it without feeling drained, but still meet the ultimate goal of building that relationship for whatever it needs to be? If you feel drained, it means what? You stepped outside of yourself. So that understanding me, which is understanding you, means you can identify the things that drain you. You can also understand those things that aren't necessarily the greatest things about you, but you can use those things to still become the best you. The whole thing is, though, do you know those things? Are you willing to admit that not everything about you is going to be the best or the greatest? But you can learn how to use those things to benefit you and still make you that great person you know that you are. When we don't embrace those things that aren't the greatest things about us, you know what happens? Anybody know? You lose it? Not quite what I'm looking for. You end up, at the end of the day, being tired and drained because it took so much energy to be someone you weren't, right? Sometimes we work so hard, and someone said it earlier, you work so hard to be the person somebody else wants you to be. And that's because you don't understand yourself and you don't know who you are. But once you know who you are, and once you understand who you are, that means understanding me, not just part of me, the whole me. Then at the end of the day, the type of drain that you're going to get is that drain of who I had a good day, right? Because it's different types of drains. You know, when you have positive energy, that drain at the end of the day, you're like, man, I'm drained, but I feel good. And that other drain is, I can't wait to crawl out of bed. You know, even a bubble bath didn't help, right? It's just a mental drain where you've just got to go and really recover, right? So just remember that. Understanding you means accepting the whole you. And once you accept the whole you, those things that people don't like about you, one, it really doesn't matter anymore, right? People say that, but in some cases you do have to care, right? The reality is, some folks you can care less. Other folks, you have to care, right? So once you find that balance, you'll figure out how to make that drawn to, it depends on how many things about you don't like. You find and you make those work for you, not against you. Embrace who you are, right? When you look in the mirror, you have to tell yourself, you know, this one thing you don't like about you, right? And you're talking to yourself, and it's okay. And you're telling yourself, Steph, you know I don't like that about you. But since it's a part of you, and you know it's a part of me too, how are we going to make that work for us? You need to have those self-conversations. Because guess what? I don't care how many people come up here and tell you to become the best you. I don't care how many times you say, you've got to face your fears. You've got to do it. Until you understand who you are and understand all those things about you, you'll never be able to face your fears, right? Because one, you haven't admitted that you have things about you that you don't even like, right? So once you accept that, game on, right? So what I want to leave you with, and I'm leaving for a few questions, is at the end and the beginning of each day, know who you are. Understand you, understand yourself, and be true to that. When someone says something about you that's negative, normally think about when somebody comes to you and say, look, so-and-so said this about me. A lot of times, what's your reaction? I can't believe they said that. You said a little stronger to curve with them, right? But then when you get along by yourself, what do you say? Yeah, that's true. But how dare them say that about me, right? So instead of getting upset, embrace it. Admit that, you know what? I thought I was hiding that. I guess I gotta hide that a little better next time, right? But then you embrace what they said and you don't give it any power. Own you, understand you, and you keep the power over you. Okay, any questions?
No.
No? All right, thank you very much. And some of you have little books on your table. On the little book is, are you limiting your trajectory? By not understanding yourself, you limit who and what you can be. And the book is just designed for any time, it's just a little notebook. Anytime you find yourself in a place to where you feel that you're stagnant or you're limiting, ask yourself, how did you play a part in that? All right, thank you and have a wonderful conference.
All right, guys, I'm trying this one. Dr. Rick Fulton's back here. Everybody look over here. Rick Wade. He's got some patches he can talk to you about, but he's got, actually, Rick, come up here for a minute. Sorry, excuse me, Dr. Rick. He's got a little treat for you guys, so he's gonna tell you what he's doing.
All right. If you get tired of sitting, sometimes you can get up and stretch. If you got aches and pains that you want to try to get rid of today and you want to trust me with an adjustment, I brought my table over here, so come on over. I have a massage gun. And like I said, my table, we'll go ahead and do a free evaluation and treatment for you if you want to, just as a thank you to Brad for all she's doing out here. So come on by on your breaks if you can, and we'll take care of you.
Well, hello, and hello, everyone. The mic is not working, but it is now. Here we go right now. Right now, I get the opportunity to introduce. First off, has the morning been good for you? Yeah. Has the morning been good for you? Yeah. All right, so now we have our next speaker coming up, right? This is a friend of mine. When I think about the song, there's a gentleman that wrote the song, and the song goes, "You are my champion. Giants fall when you stand undefeated. Every battle you won. I am who you say I am. You crown me with confidence. I am seated in the heavenly place, undefeated, with the one who has conquered it all." When I met Evans Cameroon, this praise and worship leader, this speaker, this game changer, this individual that had been through trials and tribulations, when I met him, he was serving with joy in his heart. When I met him, he was standing when others had attempted to knock him down. When I met him, not only did he come through for BTBY, but
He came through for Dr. Phineas. Not only did he come through for Dr. Phineas, but he came through for the Safe in His Arms revival, and he was willing to serve, leading with his heart to empower, to transform each and every person that he came in contact with. And so some of us are looking for an everyday hero, but this next speaker that is coming up, he is a hero. He models it, he speaks it, he loves on every individual he comes in contact with. But the thing about him that I want you to get today, this man's spiffy on the day, I say. Very spiffy on the day. So I want Evans to come on up here to the stage so you all can get a grand entry of a word that will impact and shift you as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, how do you come after such an introduction? Come on, give it up for the stephologist, Dr. Regina Pratt. Thank you for that honor. I appreciate you. Hey, we have a saying that goes that if you ever see, is it a tortoise or a tortoise? Okay, where it come from, it's a tortoise. But for your sake, if you ever see a tortoise perched up on a fence, you know that it did not put itself up there. Can I get an amen? Amen. And I would not be standing on this stage were it not for Chuck. Chuck and I met on a Zoom call for Toastmasters, and we connected, after which he introduced me to Bren, who introduced me to the BTBS, Be the Best Speaker class. And from there, I transitioned to be a part of the BTBY community, and that's how I'm standing before you today. And so, Chuck, wherever you might be, I just want to say thank you for seeing something in me that maybe I was not seeing in myself. But above that, for just being the awesome person you are and the positivity that you put in the world. And to Bren and Terrence, we are all here sitting under the shade of your vision. We would not be here but for you. And come on, let's give them just a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you. And to all the amazing speakers that I get to share a stage with, I think from this point on, I'll be able to say that I have shared a stage with not one, but 4 millionaires. I will be able to say that I've actually arm wrestled with one who happens to be a martial arts champion, and that I won 14 times. You see, I've just learned that all that is true. I've just learned that you don't have to tell a lie. All you have to do is be economical with the truth. And leave out the part that you won 14 other times. But for all the amazing speakers for coming and just pouring so much value into us, thank you so much. And finally, to each one of you for just being here and understanding that the best investment is in yourself. So today, I'll be speaking to you about your right, your obligation, and your privilege, your right, your privilege, and your obligation to fly. I'll say that again. Your right, privilege, and obligation to fly. So let me start with a question. How many here have ever seen a bird fly? Okay, there's some that didn't lift up your hands. Those that didn't, anyone ever see a bird? Still no hands. Anybody seen an animal? Any animal? I mean, you're freaking me out here. All right, we've all seen a bird fly. So let me ask, how many of you, upon seeing a bird fly, thought that that was something to write home? We don't. Why? Because birds, were created to fly. And when a bird is flying, it is just exercising its God-given right, doing what it was created to do. I want to suggest to you that birds don't just have a right to fly, they have the unique privilege of flying, because when a bird is flying, it gets to express a certain aspect of God's glory that only it can, that a lion can't, that a fish can't. And I want to suggest to you that birds don't just have a right, they don't just have a unique privilege to fly, but they have an obligation.
You see, the flight of a bird is bigger than the bird. And when a bird is flying, it is fulfilling a role in nature, in the balance of ecosystem that would otherwise be upset if the bird did not fly. But I didn't come all this way to talk to you about birds. I came to talk to you about you, to let you know that you have a right to fly, to be everything that God ordained you to be, to do everything that God ordained you to do, and yes, to have everything that God ordained you to have. You not only have a right, you have the unique privilege. You see, as human beings, we get to be the highest expression of creation. But here's the cool thing. Each one of us gets to be a unique aspect of the expression of God's glory. So you, Jim, are the only expression of God's glory like you. There has never been, there will never be any other person like you. You have the unique privilege of showcasing the beauty and the wonder of God that is you. You don't just have a right to fly, you don't just have a privilege to fly, but you have an obligation to fly. And because in this ecosystem called life, guess what? There is a role, a unique role that only you can. In this giant history, I like to say history is his story. But the cool thing is, each one of us, like in this giant movie, has a role to play in that story, and you have the right, the privilege, and an obligation to show up as you. So how do you fly? You fly when you become the best you. But let me ask you a question. How do you become the best you if you haven't even defined what you is? Is that a good question or a good question? How do you fly when you've not determined what the destination is? And so I want to suggest to you that your journey of fulfilling your right, your unique privilege, your unique obligation to fly starts by discovering your purpose. Your unique purpose. You see, I want to let you know that you were created on purpose, with purpose, inbuilt with purpose, and for a purpose. And when you discover, Miles Monroe, I believe, is the guy who said that the two most important days in your life, number one is the day that you were born, and number two is the day you discover why.
There it is.
When you discover why.
Your purpose.
And so, I want to suggest to you that the discovering your purpose part is the defining you. And then the developing your capacity for your purpose and deploying that purpose is the BTBY part, the process of becoming the best you. And so let me ask a question here. It was just to, we're having a conversation and I was to ask you casually. How many here are crystal clear? You are absolutely, positively sure what you are on this earth to do. All right, awesome. That is awesome. That is awesome. All right, for you that did not get to lift up your hands, I can relate. Because that was me a couple of years ago. I wasn't sure on what my purpose was. And I feel like a lot of us, we're not living our lives, we're living somebody else's lives. We're living the expectations that we've been conditioned into, whether it's by our upbringing, our background, our experiences, our cultural expectation and societal expectations. I feel like a lot of us are round pegs trying to fit in square holes or the other way around. You see, to really fly, you have to be the authentic you. I like a quote by Bob Proctor that says this, that to be free, if I want to be free, I have to be me. Not the me that I think you think I should be. Not the me I think my wife thinks I should be, don't tell her that. Not the me I think my kids think I should be, but if I want to be free, I have to be. And so let me just tell you a little bit about my story. I was, like everybody else, self-aware to some degree. I was aware of what my background was, what my experiences, good, bad, and ugly, were. I think I had a fairly good handle on what my gifts, my skills, my talents were. And for the longest, I thought that my purpose was my passion, my purpose was my gifts, my purpose was my talents. But I'm coming to understand that your gifts, talents, or any one aspect of those is not anymore your purpose than a tire is a car. And while a tire is part of a car, all those things that make you the unique you that you are, from all those things I mentioned, to your education, to skills that you have gathered along the way, to your personality, Dr. Stewart talked about that a moment ago, all those things make you the unique you that you are. And purpose is not so much even what you do. Purpose is the uniqueness, is your unique fingerprint, the uniqueness that you get to bring to everything you are and everything that you do. So all this changed for me when a couple of years ago, I learned about a class called 10 Days to Discovering Your Purpose. Now, I decided to take the class because number one, I knew the gentleman that was offering it and it's somebody that I really respect. Number two, my wife had taken the class during COVID year 2020. And she came out raving that she had actually pinpointed her purpose with complete clarity. And there was proof in the pudding. In the days, weeks, months to come, I could see the change and the transformation in her. And so when the course was offered the year after I was the first to jump in, I said to myself, what is an investment of $10? And I don't know about you, but I cannot put any monetary value to really nailing down for once and for all who I am and why the heaven I am, right? And so I decided to jump in. And I was blown away because I'll tell you that it's the most comprehensive treatment on the subject. It tackled everything from your background to your experiences, to your physical makeup, to your psychological makeup, to your education, to your experiences, the good, the bad, and yes, even the ugly. And for once, it helped me find convergence. Find congruence, find that common thread that runs through all these things that sometimes I don't think have a rhyme and rhythm, to see how they all tie together. And at the end of the 10 days, I was crystal clear on what my purpose is. And if you were to ask me what my purpose is, I'll tell you, I'm a communicator. How do I communicate? Words and music. I use words, speaking, coaching, writing, to share ideas and thoughts that I pray inspire, inform, and impact lives. I use music to create shared experiences that help us connect with each other and with our better self. And what's my message in all my communication? I'm trying to tell the world 3, maybe 4 things essentially. Number 1, that God is great.
Yes, sir.
I'm a believer, so I don't know what your source is. It might be the universe, it might be, but whatever that is, it's great. The second thing I'm trying to tell the world is that we are great because we are created in the image of that thing. The third thing is that we live in a great world with great people, and there's a great purpose, there's a great story that is going on with all these, and you and I get to be a part. We have a unique role to play in that, and it behooves us to discover, develop, and deploy our purpose. That's all I'm trying to say as a communicator. And so that started me on a journey of self-development. I felt like for the first time, at the ripe young age of 41 years old, I finally knew what I wanted to be when I grew up. And I felt like for the first time I embraced my true identity, number 1. And number 2, I gave myself permission to follow it unapologetically. I knew in this growth process, I first of all have to become. You see, a lot of us are trying to do stuff and to have stuff. But when you become, the doing and the having take care of themselves. And so I started a journey, studying, reading, taking coaching, learning that the best investment is in myself becoming the person that I want to become. I started doing things, growing my capacity, growing my skills. I went back to school. And yes, granted, I was in classroom with some 18 and 20 years old, and I felt old and out of place. It was the best 1 year of my life because I was doing something that I absolutely enjoy. I went to take some music theory, voice, and trumpet classes. And I was having a blast. I started investing in myself. I invested in growing as a speaker. I decided to join Toastmasters, which is where Chuck met me, and I took the BTBY class, becoming the best speaker class, and I started to grow. But guess what? On my journey of being intentional in becoming, in doing, I started seeing results. I started having success. And a couple of the greatest things that I can say are the result of me being intentional and working in my purpose. One is a shift in my work. 1 year ago, I got the opportunity to transition from a 12-year successful transportation and logistics business that I was running to actually doing something that I really enjoy. And so nowadays I get to go and provide music entertainment. I play the trumpet, I sing, and I get to go into private events, corporate events. A lot of my work actually happens in nursing homes and retirement communities, where I get to go and just share with them the blessing of music and just connect with them that way. And I'm pleased to say that as of this July, I was able to, after a year and a half, fully replace my income. It's funny how things locate you when you are intentional about doing what you're called to. The word provision, we're always looking for provision, but in my understanding, it's a breakdown of, it's a compound word, pro and vision. Pro means for the vision. And so when you're clear on your vision, the things, the people, the resources that you need have a way of locating you. And one other thing that maybe I just want to leave with you, which is a huge win for me, is that I just got certified as a trainer on the 10 days to discovering your purpose. And so I want to maybe say, for those of you that are crystal clear on what your purpose is, keep soaring, keep flying. For those of you that are not aware of what your purpose is and would like to solve that mystery for once and for all, come talk to me. I'd love to just schedule maybe a time to get to know you, maybe tell you a little bit more about the class and the course, and see if that would be a fit for you. And I would love to walk you through the same journey that has brought about so much transformation in my life. And so in conclusion, my friends, becoming the best you starts with clarifying the you that you are made to be. And when you nail that down, it solves your issue of identity. It solves your issue of direction and focus. It gives you resilience because, as somebody once said, the moment you clarify your why, then you can deal with whatever how. It takes care of your fulfillment because, as Helen Keller said, true happiness is not self-gratification, but it's fidelity to a worthy purpose. It takes care of your significance because significance is not so much about what we get, but the value that we can add into other people's lives. And finally, when you're truly walking in your purpose, it brings about success. I believe it was Kevin Wilson who talked about solving problems, or Sean Graves. And when your purpose intersects with a need, with a problem that you're solving in the world, then all these other success that we look for as a way of locating. And so, in finishing, my friends, fly. It is your birthright, just like breathing, to not just become you, but become the best you. Fly, because it is your unique privilege. There is only one of you. And fly, finally, because you have an obligation. It was Dr. Miles Monroe who said the richest place of the universe is the cemetery, because at the cemetery are songs that were never written, businesses that were never started, books, paintings that were never painted. Please do not go to the grave. You owe the world, you owe humanity the deposit that you were put on these worlds to live. You see, you and I are right here in this event under the shade of the vision of Bren and Terence and the others. But I want to suggest that there is a shade that you are meant to provide for many others. Not just in this generation, but unknown to you for generations to come. So whatever you do, fly. Evans Kabulu, thank you so much for having me.
Give it up for tomorrow. Yes, yes, I want y'all to do better than that. Give it up, give it up, give it up, give it up. So you guys enjoying yourself this morning? Oh man, so the energy is waning. I need everybody to stand up. Just stand up, stand up. I'm not gonna make anything crazy. Stand up. Now I just need you to take your left hand. Which hand?
Your left hand.
All right, reach your way up over your head. And touch that ear. And stretch. All right, put it down. Now, right hand. What hand? Right. Okay, let's do that same thing. I know it's been a long morning. You've been getting a lot of information. You got some mental strain. So we got to stretch that out because now we're about to go make some room for lunch, y'all. So this is going to be a working lunch. So here's what we want you to do. Lunch is outside of these double doors, straight down the hallway to the right. Which way? The right. It's going to be the second set of doors on the right. It's going to say Kansas, not Kansas. I didn't make this stuff up. Kansas, I believe it's the letter A. Double doors, go in there. Here's what we want you guys to do. We want you to grab your plate and come back in because we've got some amazing speakers. It's going to be our lunchtime entertainment. And I'm a little biased because they both went through the BTBY Academy, becoming the best speaker. So we definitely want you to hear what they have to say and let them share what they learned from being a part of this community. So what we're going to do, we're going to give everybody 10 minutes. Please don't all rush because, I'll get my plate first no matter what. But please rush out there, grab your plate, come on back in, and let's get ready for some lunchtime entertainment as we continue our BTBY experience. Hashtag BTBY. Yes, make sure you grab your plates and bring it back in here so you can have our lunchtime entertainment.
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate you. Hey, love. Yes. Woo! Can I get a hey, love? Thank you so much. You are love. I am love. I'm here today to be a legacy liberator. That's what I'm here to do. I'm here to liberate legacies. So you might see on the screen when Brian's ready. I so appreciate you, Brian. You might see on the screen, you are a love legacy. There we go. You are a love legacy. And that's what I'd like to talk to you about today. You see, my parents left me a legacy. What probably comes to mind when you hear the word legacy, you might think money. You might think buildings. You might think of land. Or maybe you think of fame. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. My parents left me a legacy of energy. Mom and Dad, I hope you're watching. An energetic legacy, a legacy of energy. I heard my parents throughout my life refer to each other as love. Hey, love, someone's at the door. Can you get it? Hey, love, I can't reach the bowl on this shelf. Honey, where are you? Hey, love, I'm so glad you're home. So good to see you. And I'd love to hear the terms of endearment that you grew up with. Maybe there were none. Maybe you loved them. Maybe you did not love them. But what are some that you heard growing up? Some people call them pet names. I call them terms of endearment. So I'd love to hear from the audience.
Honey.
Honey.
Sweetie. Handsome man.
Sweetie.
Darling.
Darling. Handsome man.
Sugar mom.
Sugar lump. Sugar lump. What over here? Julie? Anybody over here? Sis. Yes.
Pumpkin.
Pumpkin. Keep them coming. Charlotte. Come on, Charlotte. Love? Yes. Okay.
Sweetheart.
Sweetheart.
My little dabble.
My little dabble. That's a new one. I've not heard my little dabble. One more. Baby. Yes. Thank you for participating. Thank you so much for participating. My parents also called each other hun, and I love the hun, just short for honey. So if you're in my life, I've probably called you hun or love multiple times. And I've heard Brian call me babe before, and we're going to talk about that. Because you all feel the energy in those words. You feel the energy. It's like part of your tribe. Like you feel connected. You feel alive. Or maybe you didn't love those terms of endearment. Maybe they weren't so endearing to you. Maybe they felt disempowering. Maybe there was some negativity there. Maybe you felt left out or abandoned by some of those words. What I want to land with you is that the energy that is exchanged through your words, through your presence, through your deeds, they leave an imprint. Evans just spoke about a thumbprint, and I was like, man, he's like totally doing my talk. He was talking about some things, the direction we're going to go today. But I believe that just by you being here today, by you walking into any room, by the way you speak, not only to others, but to yourself, you are etching fingerprints like a carver on people's hearts. Okay? Hear that again. Imagine someone etching those really cool prints where they etch really deep and then they roll the ink over it and then it pushes onto paper and it makes something amazing. And sometimes they do multiple etches and then multiple colors and it ends up being something that you're like, that was definitely hand painted. No, that was someone etching. You are etching on yourself every day, every moment, every minute. You're etching here and then it emanates out into every relationship, every room that you walk into, your workplace, your children, your parents, your siblings, your teammates. You are making an imprint everywhere you go. That is what I call your love legacy. And you're making it right now, right in this moment. So I'm going to go to the next slide. Brian's ready for that. Okay, there we go. So terms of endearment, we talked about that. Leaving an impression. I believe you're leaving an impression everywhere you go. Who here knows Jawanda and William Fells? Yes! Woo! Jawanda and William Fells, you have been on my mind a lot lately as I wrote this speech. Oh, no. Who feels good when Jawanda and William are around? Can I just get a yeah? Yes. This is what I'm talking about. This is a love legacy. These are people that are alive in their love legacy. They are in their passion. They're walking their talk. I feel better when they're around. There's a certain smile. There's a confidence. They feel confident about themselves. They are confident in their faith. They're confident in their faith in the world. They're confident in their faith in me. I'm like, geez, we don't even know each other that well, but I just feel more confident when these two are around. Seriously, and everyone here who has met them knows it. And for those of you watching online, we're gonna put a link below to one of their 5 businesses that they have, and we'll introduce you to Jawanda and William Fells, because they are powerful people. Yes. And that's where I want to go today. I want to go to the next slide. I'm going to point to Brad. There we go. And I'm going to keep going. Let's go back up one. Okay, a lot of people here have talked about passion. And I really would invite all of us that if you're feeling out of alignment, and alignment is like, have you driven a car and there's some alignment issue and it's bumpy? Who agrees that you might have a bumpy ride if your car is out of alignment? Yay? 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 Who thinks that the people in the car with you might be having a bumpy ride if your car is out of alignment? Yay? Nay? Yay? Yay? So alignment is when, misalignment is when you're not in line with your love legacy. You're not walking your talk. You're not living that soul-led gift that only you have been given. That imprint that was given to you by divine essence. It's yours. I look around this room, I see leaders. I see those who are ready to be inspired, those who are ready to up-level, those who are ready to dial into that love legacy and live it. Breathe it, be it, walk it, talk it. Have it ooze out of you into all of your relationships. Like how I've talked about Jawanda and William, because I feel like they're gifted in that. So you get to connect with what brings you joy. Some of us get a little far from our joy sometimes. We get pretty down. But my invitation is for you to check in with yourself, what lights you up. What do you want more of? That's gonna give you some inkling, some hints about your passion. That's gonna give you a little bit of a tell about where do I wanna go? How do I wanna live? How do I wanna show up? This is a big one. You might see the word on the screen. Maybe those of you online cannot see it, but I'm gonna tell you the next step, the second step is permission. How many of us have this inkling, this knocking on our heart? And it's telling you where you should go. And it's telling you who to call. And it's telling you how to show up and like, get out of bed, stop hitting snooze, go to the thing. You said you'd be there. You said you'd be on time. But you're not giving yourself permission. Okay, you're holding yourself back. Permission is a 2-step process. You get to release some stuff. You get to work with a coach. You get to go to a group. You get to get a therapist. You get to work with someone. You got to have people in the wings with you so that you can release those old stories that are stopping your permission. Step number 2 is to embrace. You got to embrace permission. You got to live it. You get to own it. You get to be it. So permission is a deep, crunchy process. We can go there together. And you have a sheet in front of you today. We can go further with that. I'll talk to you about that soon. The next step is that, there we go, oh, too many steps. The next step is that you get to be in action. Evans went on stage before me and he talked about being in action. He talked about permission. He talked about passion. He talked about purpose. And we really get to be in action. We get to take some steps. If you need support, get it. But you get to get up when you say you're gonna get up. You get to eat what you say you're gonna eat and not eat what you say you're not gonna eat. Right? You get to take care of yourself because we need you. We need your imprint. We need your impact. I need you. I need you in your love legacy. Look at you, Julie. Terry, we just met. And just like we have community, we have tribe, we need you in your love legacy. We need you walking it and talking it. So you get to take some action. Most importantly, step number 4. And in all truth, step number 4 gets sprinkled throughout. Who can tell me what word that is? Grace. Okay? I invite you all, if you have a moment, for those of you watching online, please don't be driving. If you have a moment to just bring your eyes to a close, take a nice deep inhale, and hear these words and let them speak inside your mind. I give myself grace as I experience the ebb and flow of my life. Exhaling, breathe in again, nice and deep. I give myself grace as I experience the ebb and flow of my life. Okay, you can open your eyes. If you're breathing a little more smoothly and softly now. We get to give ourselves grace throughout our life. There is ebb, there is flow. We have to have contrast, y'all. Going back to the driving analogy, we need those potholes. We need that loose gravel. We need those moments of feeling out of balance and out of control, because guess what? That makes you more present to what's real that's coming next. You need the breakdowns to break through. You become more you. Oh my gosh, so much talk about fear today and yesterday. Fear. Those little, your emotions are your guidance system. Your emotions are like, ooh, I don't want any more of that. Ooh, but I want some more of this. This feels good. So grace. So you get to give yourself grace to feel your feelings. Love your people and be like, no, those are not my people. You get to know that. You get to go there. And all of this is liberating your legacy. All of this is bringing you home to that life force, to that essence inside of you that we all need. And I know you've heard this before. Thank you. I'm excited for your show tonight. I'm excited for this comedian who's going to be on stage later tonight. We get to give ourselves grace. We get to liberate our legacies. We get to walk our talk. We get to be all of it. And I shared with you that passion is a huge part of it. So you'll see that there's a piece of paper in front of you. It's got my picture on it a couple times. For those of you online, it's not there. But I love to take people through a process where we look at your passions. We look at your motivators. I think it's a 5 to 7 minute assessment of who you are. The people who have written this assessment were ministers. And I normally don't shout that from the rooftops, but these are people that want to help you land on the fact that your passion and motivation is divine. And that's why I'm saying that we need it. We need you to be in your divine, to be in your full self. Because one drop in the bucket of you stepping into greater self-actualization raises the water level of the entire bucket. One drop makes a big difference. I know, because I have a leaky faucet in my house right now that is overflowing on the daily. But anyway, that's a total other thing. But that's what I'm talking about. Every little drop makes a difference. And sometimes we think we don't matter. And sometimes we're like, I don't have an imprint. Yes, you do. You have an imprint. You are making one on me just by us having eyes. You are witnessing me, and that is part of my journey, part of my self-actualization. And everyone who's not yet on the stage and has not been, I call you forward to take the BTBS Becoming the Best Speaker course and get on this stage. That's right. Get on this stage. That's right. We need you. We need you in your light. And it's like a beacon. Imagine that out in the ocean, imagine yourself on a ship. It's the dark of night. The waves are turning. And you're feeling unsteady. You're feeling lost. And way in the distance, you see a blinking light. And if you were that ship's captain right now in this storm, and you gotta go back, this is before digital, so your digital is out. So you're totally lost, you're in the dark, and you see a blinking light. Can you just feel the visceral experience of being like, yes, I see light amidst the storm. That's all of you. That's all of you being on fire, lit up, fully alive, fulfilled, taking one tiny step today and one tiny step tomorrow. We need you awake and liberated in your love legacy. So go to that assessment. No pressure to go any further than that, but if you'd like to, you have my website, you can reach out to me. Thank you all. I'm Andrea Luzon, Legacy of Grace.
Let's give it up for Andrea Luzon. Come back up. Yes, let's give it up for Andrea Luzon. Now here at BTBY, we never forgive an opportunity to give a shameless plug to the people who have gone through the courses that we have, and the BTBS Academy is one of those.
And Andrea is doing a great job. She has blossomed as a speaker. She has her own IG page. What's the IG page?
Legacy Liberation Coaching.
Legacy Liberation Coaching. So she's not just a speaker, she's a coach. And here's what we want to do, because Andrea and I, we've had some conversations, and we know that we give to a lot of people. We give opportunities for other people to come on our shows. We give opportunities to other people to share what they do and how they are changing the world. But now we want to give Andrea to you guys, because I know there are people out here who have podcasts. I know there are people who are out here with shows. I know there are people out here in this audience that are going to be doing their own events. And we want to make sure that Andrea shares her love legacy on your stages and on your podcast and on your IGs, so that she can wear her crown as a legacy love creator as well. So how can they reach you, Andrea?
Yes, you can definitely go to Legacy Liberation Coaching Instagram. I'm on it a lot, and right there should be a link. And you can get a free download for ways to release your inner critic. That might be a great way to sample some of my work, and then you can book a chat. We'll go deep.
Definitely reach out to Andrea as you give her another round of applause.
Thank you all so much.
All right, so you guys, are you digging what's coming out of the BTBS Academy? Yes, yes? Right, we are creating speakers, and we've got another graduate of the BTBS Academy coming up for your lunchtime entertainment. Is none other than Miss Kimberly Sly. Kimberly.
I'm so glad because all I could think about last night was Dr. Susan's story about how she tripped her heels on the stage. And so I tried to decide, was I going to wear the heels that were the height that I wore last night? Or should I minimize risks? Did you actually fall off the stage? Off of it, or you just fell?
There wasn't a stage, it was in the room, yes.
Okay,
The table
okay.
in front, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you're okay.
Oh, Ed. Okay. So I just want to welcome everybody. There was such a great energy last night and again today, and I really appreciate everyone showing up and giving me this opportunity. My name is Kimberly Sly. If you're trying to Facebook stalk me, Ed, you'll find me under Kimberly Wilson-Sly. All right, I just wanted to make that clear. I feel like I've always told these stories. So I am the mom of 3 amazing children who give me a lot of grace. My older 2, who are 18 and 13, they race motocross, and I'm their biggest supporter, and I have become their pit crew. And then through learning with my parents, my parents are some of their biggest sponsors. And if you know anything about the sport of motocross, it takes a lot of money. And so I really appreciate them and who they are. And then my 3rd child, she is the life of our party. And she gives me a run for my money, and I'm pretty sure she's right here. So, by education, I'm a recovering hairdresser and nurse. Yeah, if you're a hairdresser, you know what I'm talking about. I've been out of the industry since 2014. Ed?
Yeah.
So my nursing background brought me to a passion that I have, and it's educating people on living a healthier life and just connecting the whole mind, body, and spirit. And that's something that I think we lack so much of in Western medicine. And I became passionate about this. I'm just going to tell you a short part of the story. I became passionate about this because in 2012, I was diagnosed with a pulmonary embolism and a DVT that ran from my hip down to my ankle. And I was admitted to the ICU, and I would have 13 surgeries in the next 2 years. And I would be told by the medical professionals that this was my new normal, I should get used to it, and I'd be on medication for the rest of my life. So while I said I'm not going to tell a whole lot of this story, I'm going to leave you with the fact that I was able to change a few habits, which I think we've talked a little bit about today, that allowed me to take my health into my own hands. And I've not had a surgery since 2015, and I broke the bondage of Big Pharma early 2021. So earlier this year, I was working with a good friend, Brian, and I did the PQ assessment with one of his mentors. And I learned several things during that, but one of the things that stuck out to me, it said that I was a risk taker. And I thought, you got the wrong girl. I'll stay standing in quicksand because I know what the outcome's gonna be. Seems crazy. And then I got to thinking, going against doctors' medical advice and quitting my medication is a pretty big risk. I didn't know what was going to happen. I just trusted the research and that I knew the body knew how to heal itself. So then fast forward, in 2014, I met who I thought was the man of my dreams, and it quickly became a nightmare. It started out seemingly innocent with gaslighting. Heck, I didn't even know what the word gaslighting meant. I just thought that I was losing my mind and going crazy. And it quickly, over 5 months, turned into emotional, verbal, and financial abuse. I would quit my job hairdressing, I would move here to Kansas City to start nursing school, where I'd be financially dependent upon him, and I was away from all my friends and family who supported me.
You got this.
All good. Yeah.
Got it. Stop through it. You got it.
I ended up going to a psychiatrist named Dr. Doolittle, and I am not kidding you when I say that is what I was. And he fed me full of some education and resources. And as I was learning, I was learning about how to handle and deal with people who have narcissistic and borderline personality disorder. I'm not saying that is what this man had. I'm just saying the things that I was telling Dr. Doolittle that I was experiencing, he's saying, I think this might be what you need. Now, what this education and those resources did not tell me was that with people, and I say people because women experience this too, it's not just men, but when you take away they thrive on your reaction and your emotions and just working you up, right? And when you control your emotions and your reactions and you take that away, they fall out of control. So what they didn't tell me is that when that happens, what do you think is going to happen? It's going to up his ante, right? So I would go to my first job interview out of nursing school with a black eye. And I got that job. I think they thought, damn, girl. But, you know, life would continue, things would continue. If you're familiar with the cycle of abuse, you're familiar with the roller coaster of ups and downs. And that's how they, you know, trap you in the cycle. And it's not just in relationships, right? It can be in work relationships, it can be in friendships. And so in September 2020, he would come home late one night And he came into my daughter's room where I'd been sleeping for the past year, and he would say, "We need to talk." And so reluctantly, I went into his room, followed him, and our 3-year-old at the time had just awoke, and she followed us in there too. And shortly afterward, you know, things are, you can tell the air in the room, the energy is heavy. She pulled an AR-15 out from underneath his bed. And like Mama Bear, lost my shit. I grabbed her, I went back to the bedroom, her bedroom, the bedroom that I had been sleeping in, and I laid there trying to go to sleep that night, and I thought, you know, I was having all these flashbacks of him walking by me and muttering, "Really love someone unless you talk about killing him." And then there was the night where he pinned me down with his knees on my arms, his hands on my throat, and told me the 5 ways that he had plotted to off me and make it look like suicide or an accident. And then the thought came to my mind, what if that gun almost meant for me? And so I started planning and plotting my escape. And there was a suitcase in her closet, and I grabbed it and I started packing things in the room, and I put it back in the closet, not to raise any suspicion. I would have 2 failed attempts at leaving. And then on September 23rd, 2020, which happens to be my youngest 4th birthday, he had told me he was going to jujitsu. And I knew I had about 2 hours. And so I packed my little Prius, knowing that more than likely we would be sleeping in my car. I've been calling the local Kansas City domestic violence shelters in the metro area, and all the rooms were full. I'm gonna have you go ahead and cue up that song. Gary, Brian, song.
Living life on the merry-go-round.
So I was just sitting here, and in between bites, I want you to listen to this song, and I want you to reflect a little bit.
So we go walk it out.
What is that fear that you have? Or that pain? We've talked about risk a little bit. Is there a risk that you're needing to take? And I want you to write that down. And I want you to keep that with you. Because if I had not worked through some of these things, my health journey, right? If I where would I be at? If I hadn't taken the risk in leaving that relationship, I think about the risks in that. I signed a prenup. I lost everything. I didn't get my car back. Didn't get anything from the house. We had a business together. But then on the flip side, if I stayed, would I lose my life? Risk assessment's pretty easy. You know, the same thing with my health. We're not taking these things into our own hands and taking these risks and moving towards fear in the sense of, you know, Isaac said yesterday, you know, his acronym for fear. I'm going to quiz you guys like Kevin does to his students with their names. What did he say fear? What was the acronym? What did he say that stood for?
Everything and rise.
And rise. So what I want you to take away from this is so many times what we don't realize is these things that we face are a cycle. We just talked about earlier today, right? It's something that's kind of been embedded oftentimes in us because it's something our parents went through or their grandparents went through. And I'm here to tell you a couple of things. Just because your parents had X, Y, Z dis-ease doesn't mean that you're going to have it or get it. And 2, I want you to make the connection with healing with past traumas, because so often that's what will hold you back from the healing of an illness. So as you leave here today, I want you to take that word with you. Put it by your bed, post it on your mirror, keep it in your purse. And I want you to think about those steps that you're going to take and risk everything. And I want you to move forward and face everything and rise up. I'm Kimberly Sly. Thank you. So I'm 6 minutes on. I just wanted to say, part of that was, you know, with my health now, I'm passionate about educating and helping other people move forward. I don't know everything, but one thing I was told is if you don't start now, you're doing service to other people because you don't know more than what other people know. So I thought, okay, there's a place to start, right? So think about that and and moving your pain into purpose, right? We can do that so often, and a lot of people think they have to have it all together. You really don't have it. And then with, you know, the DV now, I'm able to give back and go volunteer with the domestic violence shelters, and I speak, not like this, usually I have notes, you know, and advocate and educate people about the seriousness and that it's happening. 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men. And I know that seems crazy, you're like 1 in 4 men, well, it's because it's not manly to report it. I can tell you, working in surgery, I've seen the trauma that women can do. So in finding that purpose, right? Like volunteer. I think it was Isaac again that said yesterday, in volunteering, I found my family. And in volunteering, I found my family, and that family, which is part of you guys, helped me heal. So, thank you.
What a beautiful lady, right inside out. Dr. Lewis Michelle, here's my question. All right. Let's hear from Brenda Raywood. I wanted to come up and thank everyone that's been a part of the BTBY. This journey is amazing. How many of you have posted what's happening here today on your pages? Okay, if you posted it on your page last week, how many of you? Let's make some noise, let's make some noise. If you posted it on your page last month, let's make some noise. If you were in the house today, let's make some noise. If you were in the house today, let's make some noise. Not only are we in this house, we are on social media house. We are on Facebook. We are on YouTube. We are on everybody's tube. And I shared with Brenda a few minutes ago, earlier this week, we have a great team, and we posted and we did a press release. And guess what? We are in the news in the UK. We are in the news in the UK. Come on. team. I want to thank the BTBY. I want to thank each and every one of you here because we are igniting things around the world to help people become the best that they can be. And if you are here today for the first time, how many are here for the first time? Stand to your feet right quick. Come on, everybody. Let's give them a hand clap. That's what I talked about. Bounce back, baby, bounce back. The best is yet to come. The best is yet to come. Those of you that's here for the first time, you ain't seen nothing yet. Let's give them a hand. So with no further ado, I have the wonderful honor of announcing a young man who is really making every second count. He's had a life filled with so many amazing people, amazing events, and some tragic events. It impacted his speech. It impacted his gait to walk. You know, many of us, we can just walk across the stage without any trouble at all. But our brother, when it affected his gait, it didn't affect his enthusiasm. Yeah. It didn't affect his willpower. It didn't affect his ability to connect with people all around the world. This young man has traveled all around the world sharing his message that we must appreciate the one life that God has given us, and we must make every second count. So for many of you, I introduced to you for the first time, but for many of you, I present to you once more, and as they say, and again, our brother, none other than stand to your feet, boys! Come on, get on your feet! Come on, the amazing Jack Morgan and Junior!
What's up, everybody?
What's up, Joe?
Thank you for that. I have to love this cape. Sorry. But, so, I was asked to come back here again. And, you know, I'm always willing to come back because I love this. Becoming the best you is a part of me. So, first of all, I want to take a second here. And I want to celebrate you guys. Because it's you guys that are overcomers as well as me.
Yes, sir.
I might have overcome my car accident. I might have overcome 2.5 months in the hospital, or 3.5 in the hospital, and 2.5 in a coma.
I might have overcome a traumatic brain injury that still affects me to this day. I might have overcome a broken jaw twice. Don't ask about the second one. I might have overcome something besides what you have. But you guys are all overcomers. You know how I know that? No, not because of the cake, but I do appreciate that. So I know because you guys are still here. I want you to repeat after me. All right, so that wasn't one of the things, but oh well, that's all right. So, darn it, now I forget.
Come on, Jeff.
You got it, Jeff.
Get it.
Go on, Jeff.
So, you guys have been through. Say, I have been through. Nothing that I didn't live through. Now, I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about you guys. Like, there's so many people in here that have been through things different than me. And I understand that. And that's fine and dandy. But Chuck over here, he says, stay positive, people. And it's amazing. I love that. But, okay, I want to go back for a second. I want to hit you guys' word counts. No, not like that. That's dirty. So, on the count of 3, I want you guys to all clap your hands one time. And then afterward, no noise, all right? That's all right, Chuck. 1, 2, 3. Great job. Now I'm going to make it a little tougher. So this time on the count of 3, I want you to clap your hands one time. But I also want you to stomp your left foot. Now everybody knows their left from their right, right? All right. Well, and both of these things are at the same time. And then afterward, no noise, all right? 1, 2, 3. Great. Now I'm going to make it a little tougher. Sorry, God bless you guys. Gonna get you out of your comfort zone, you know. But on this time, on the count of 3, I want you to clap your hands one time. Stomp your left foot one time. And say boom one time. And then afterwards, no noise, all right? I think you guys can handle that. 1.
Boom.
That's what it's supposed to happen. Yeah. Never had that happen before. All right.
Shaking everything up, Jeff.
1, 2, 3. That was the last sound I heard when I was 17 years old. I was sitting at a green light, waiting to go. And the semi-truck decided he wasn't going to stop. He T-boned me in the intersection, leaving me with all those injuries I was talking about earlier. And most of those injuries are deadly by themselves. And I had them all at once. It's really hard to be 17 in the prime of your life and having to ride in a wheelchair. It's something to be 17 and having to learn to eat again, having to learn to drink again, having to learn to talk again. And then I get here and I struggle. I'm sweating my butt off right now. And it's not because it's real hot in here. It's because I'm wearing these long pants. I don't like long pants because I do. I sweat so much. And that's because of my brain injury. But I'm still here. I'm still doing it. I just want to be here to show other people that they are still here. That anything is possible. If I can come back from my severe car accident, then what is holding you back? Think about it. Did you have something humongous hit you while driving? I mean, there's people in here dealing with divorces. Some people in here have gone bankrupt. I heard that earlier. Some people in here are dealing with the loss of a loved one. We all know Heather that was here this weekend. I don't know if this is public information, and I'm sorry to Heather and her family if anything is said wrong, but Heather lost her sister the night before this conference. And she was still here helping out. And she would be here right now if she didn't have car trouble. How can that be? I mean, this girl just lost her sister. I appreciate that, Jeff. Ohana. Ohana means family in Hawaiian. Oh, darn it. Thank you. Seriously. Woo.
I'll give it back. I'm going with you. You gotta catch it.
No, I'm gonna drop it. Woo. So, I got it. Don't worry. I'm gonna use it again. Gosh, he's killing me. What did you say?
I said he's setting you up for success.
Thank you, Chuck. Set me up for success. I appreciate that. Right here, I love you, Chuckles.
Just don't call me Chuck.
I didn't call you that. All right. Okay, so I wanted to also talk to you about not giving up on yourself, believing in yourself. So there are two boys from Dayton, Ohio. They were trying to do the impossible. And they had a little bike shop, and they used their knowledge of bikes to work on this project. And they were completely underfunded. They didn't have the resources, the team, anything that other people had. But they had what I call, well, what the dictionary calls tenacity. They knew they could do it. They had belief. They had faith in themselves. And what do you know it? But on, in December 1903, the Wright brothers were the first in flight in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, when everybody in the world had doubted them. And you guys are possibly stopping because your family says that no, it's not possible for you. They had everybody in the world telling them that they weren't going to be able to do it, that they were crazy, they didn't have the education, that they were nothing but bicycle mechanics. But they did it. You guys can do anything. So, all right. I also wanted to tell you a little story. So, when I was in the hospital after my accident, sorry guys, I'm sweating up here. This rag is gonna be soaked after I'm done. Nah, all right. But I finally got in a wheelchair, being pushed around the hospital by family members. Now, granted, I was still in a coma at this time, and I had no idea what was going on, but other people did. And I guess they tried to tell me that, Jeff, you know, you don't have to keep fighting this fight. You can stop anytime. If this is too painful, just throw in the towel. Because there are so many other people that just throw in that towel. And something in me didn't let me do that. Amen. And I'm so thankful for that. But I got out of the coma. I was still in the wheelchair. They told me, Jeff, you know, you can quit this therapy thing at any time now. People live every day in a wheelchair and they're happy. I said, yeah, they might be, but I'm not. So I got to walking with a walker, an old person walker, if you guys aren't familiar. I wasn't old, but I was walking with an old person walker. And they told me again, Jeff, you know, you can quit this therapy thing anytime. People live every day walking with a walker and they're happy. I told them, yeah, they are, but I'm not. So I kept fighting, I kept pushing, and eventually I got to walking with a cane. And again, what do you think they told me? You know, you can quit this therapy thing at any time. People live every day walking with a cane and they're happy. I told them, yeah, they might be, but I'm not. So after a while longer, I got to walking unassisted, just like I am now. Yeah. Now, I was extremely happy, and they couldn't believe it. They told me, Jeff, this is probably the best you can expect. You can go ahead and give up on therapy now. People live every day walking with unassisted, and they're happy. I told them, yeah, they might be, but I'm not. Because, you know, I'm going to run. There's nothing in this world that is going to stop me from running. And one day, maybe I'm flying. But it's so true. You guys let so much, well, even I should say we, let so much hold us back in the world. And the choice is really ours. If we want to be happy in this world, there are a lot of negative things going on outside your body, outside your circumstances. But those aren't in your control. Let those things go. Know that you are an overcomer. And you have overcome so much already in your life that you are going to take all these issues that you have now, and they are not going to exist. You're going to get through them. I tell you. I promise you that things are going to get better. They did for me, and why aren't they going to for you? You think that because you weren't in the same circumstances as me, that you're not going to have it as good as me? I tell you right now, you're wrong. But I just want you guys to know that you can accomplish anything in the world. You just have to keep your eye on the ball. You just have to stay focused and grind until you get it. Because it is possible. Let me hear right now, it is possible. It is possible. Again. It is possible. Again. It is possible. Again. It is possible. Louder. It is possible. Yes, it is. So, I got some more tasks for you. This time, I want you to sit up straight. On the count of 3 this time, instead of doing all those tasks, I just want you to clap your hands. One time. Oh, no, never mind. I just want you to say boom really loud. And if you aren't loud enough, I'll make you do it again. I'm serious. I want them to hear you down in the lobby of this hotel. I want people walking in here being like, what is going on? You guys are in trouble now. All right? You guys got it? And then afterwards, you make no noise. All right? 1, 2, 3. That was great, but we're going to do it again because that was pretty awesome. All right. 1, 2, 3. The first time I had you do all that stuff was my wake-up call. The second time, that was for you.
Yeah.
And we complain about just aches and pains, right? All right, so we're getting ready to do our millionaire power hour. You guys ready for that?
Yes.
So, Sean Reeves is gonna be in this room. So if you wanna see him, you stay here. He is gonna talk to you about, what are you gonna talk about, Sean?
Learn how to build a success map. Achieve any goal effortlessly.
Did you hear that? A success map to achieve any goal effortlessly. And then we're gonna have Kevin Wilson, who is gonna talk about the Millionaire Next Door and how he did what he does. He is going to be in the Osage room C. Now, all these next rooms go past reception, go past the bar, turn right, and find the Osage A, B, or C. So number C is Kevin Wilson. A is Brent Kessler, who just presented, and he's going to talk about something a little bit different, but the same, but he's going to take it to a different level. So that is going to be in A. And then we have Big Bob himself sitting right here. He's just gonna do a little round table with you. He's gonna let you pick his brain. Okay? So everybody back here at 210, go find your rooms. We'll see you soon because you do not want to miss Donald Tolson. You don't want to miss the Coney Prince, our keynote. You don't want to miss Regina Platt. We got some hot, heavy people coming up. See you guys at 210.
All right, we're going to get started here, and I'm going to success map. Or maybe not. All right, we're going to get started here. What we're going to do is we're going to learn how to build a success map and achieve any goal that you want. Does that sound okay? Is everybody here? Can I? All right, so what we're going to do is, if you've ever read the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, he talks about a mastermind group. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to work together. Now, to achieve a goal, a lot of people, it's hard to get started because, well, how do you eat an elephant?
One bite at a time.
One bite at a time, right. But a lot of people look at the whole elephant and they go, oh, it's so big, I don't even know where to start. But if you break it down into small bite-sized pieces, it makes it a lot easier. So that's what